What a night, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a special joint edition of the USC and Notre Dame post-game lives here on the Voice of College Football. My name is Tony Altimore, and that background noise you hear is LBC Trojan live in the Coliseum. We're going to be going to him in just a moment. Guy and Will ND is with us as well for Notre Dame. Tim will be joining us momentarily. Guys, tonight everything was on the line for USC. The Peach Bowl representatives were there on behalf of the College Football Playoff to see if USC would be ready. The whole country was looking and watching to see, was Caleb Williams really ready to be USC's 8th Heisman? And the shillelagh, gone for about 5 years, could it come home? Guys, it did. USC runs past Notre Dame 38-27, putting itself in the driver's seat for the Pac-12 Championship, the College Football Playoff, and the Heisman Trophy. I feel like 2002 is back upon us, guys, and it is just an absolutely surreal and exciting feeling for the Trojan football family everywhere. USC beats Notre Dame 38-27, and perhaps most importantly, the shillelagh comes home as USC wins the glamour game. Guys, we've got LBC live in the stadium. LBC, what was it like there in the game today?
Absolutely electric, Tony. This was awesome. This was like Carson Palmer. Was it 19 years ago? But Caleb
19 years ago.
Caleb
20 years ago.
Yes, Caleb Williams did it with his legs, his leadership. And I think the College Football Committee can take note that we played defense out here in SoCal, 38-27. Notre Dame was really never in this game. And USC's back. It's electric. And maybe the College Football Committee should take note of LSU and their lack of defense
I'm sorry.
College Station.
LS who?
Yes, that's right. LSU.
Or are you talking about LOLSU? LOLSU. Yeah.
And maybe take a look at the defense that was or was not played in Columbus, Ohio.
So LBC, are you telling me that non-conference games should be against major college football blue bloods like Notre Dame and not against Austin P or whatever rancid orphanage of the South LSU was able to find?
Oh, I can tell you whatever you want to hear, but the SEC speaks a different language. So that's up to them. And LSU got exposed tonight. Ohio State got exposed. I don't care what you want to call it, but when you give up 5 touchdowns at home, greater than 45 yards, that's no defense. And we saw it on a national TV audience, probably 20 million people.
LBC, tell us about the game tonight. What was it like there in the Coliseum? Give us the energy.
It was sold out. This reminded me, oh, now they're going to kick me out now. We're celebrating, and the security staff says, you got to go. Come on, we haven't won like this in 20 years. I'm on YouTube right now. Congratulations. Okay, congratulations. But you don't want to kick me out, do you? You don't want to kick me out. Hey.
Have a good night, sir.
Have a good night. I'm having a great night right now. Let me keep on having a good night. Let me tell you, man.
Guys, we gotta get LBC a media pass.
Well, they want to kick me out, but you know what? Hey, man, I paid a lot of money.
I
paid a lot of money to this school. I've waited so long. We've had Clay Helton. Go ahead and take me out in handcuffs if that's what you want to do. Ain't gonna happen, right, bro? Ain't gonna happen. That's right.
LBC, Sid says security, they're secret domers.
Hey, how about those Trojans, baby? How about, baby?
Send them back to their winter wonderland.
How was it? How was it tonight?
Fantastic.
All right.
And they're made of plastic.
Yeah.
That's why they lost.
That's right. Fight on, Trojans.
Fight on.
Hey, man, this was beautiful. I love you, brother. This was beautiful tonight. It was electric. The crowd was into it the whole night. You saw that, Tony. And Trojans left, no doubt.
LBC, the whole country saw that tonight.
And, hey, Caleb Williams did it with his legs tonight, his leadership. And how about Austin Jones? He ran like a man. You take a look at the time of possession. This is what I was talking about, Tony, against Utah. We dominated the time of possession, and we ran the ball. And that was beautiful. We shoved it down their throats.
LBC, your fans are loving you. Live report is fired from Joe.
That's right. Security staff wants to kick me out, but they know they can't do that. Come on now.
You guys, by the way, notice how good LBC's seats are. It's good to be LBC, just in life. Now he's up at the top. Hey, what's up, friend of the show, Jay Miley?
Jay Miley right here with me, baby. We're celebrating.
Baby.
We're going to the championship.
Yeah.
We'll be in Vegas. We're going to be in Vegas next week.
Well,
Jay's
LBC,
coming with me.
See you in Vegas.
We're going to
LBC,
Vegas.
I have another question
Vegas,
for
baby.
you.
Yes, question.
This is a big issue.
Yes.
USC, I mean, we might be the Pac-12 champions, but as far as I can tell, we just won the ACC championship tonight.
Hey, yeah, we did. We own the ACC.
We own the ACC. Oh, did we lose LBC? Did he freeze or did I freeze? Will, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, LBC froze for a sec. Yeah, guys,
Okay.
USC has not only returned the shillelagh, but as far as we can tell by the rules of the transitive property, which doesn't really work, but we're going to claim it, USC is the ACC champions. How about that?
What's that?
USC, ACC champions.
We're ACC champions. We're Pac-12 champions.
And at this rate, we're going to the playoff. How about that?
And we're going to the playoff, baby. We're going to the playoff. Fight on, everybody.
Next week, USC is going to be live there. Who's the one dude on the show who's more
Tell the fight on, baby.
USK?
Tell the fight on.
Let's go.
Fight on. Fight on, guys.
Fight
Trojans,
on,
baby.
guys. Everybody.
Fight on.
Will, hold on.
We're leaving.
Will.
Yeah, we're on YouTube right now, guys. Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
You guys notice, by the way, LBC is walking through the club seats because that's where he sits. Austin Williams says USC double champion, ACC Pac-12. It's true. It's true. And how about the Beavs, LBC? The Beavs tonight took down Oregon despite everything the Pac-12 refs threw at them.
Hey, man, I love the Beavs. Hey, let's hear it for Connor Johnson. I think I called the Beavs by 4, and I think they won by 4. So, hey, what happened to Oregon? I wanted you. I called you out, and you choked. Oregon, you choked. You forgot about little brother. Yes, that's right.
Private Santiago choked. It's true. And Joe Schmo says, I illustrate the low-info SEC fan transitive property. Hey, Joe,
we're leaving the call. Here we go.
If
hey,
they
we're on
claim
YouTube.
it, we'll claim it.
We're on YouTube. Give me a fight on.
Fight on.
All right, beat the Domers, baby. Beat the Domers. Okay, we're taking off here from the collie.
I like it. Oh, guys, what a night. What a night. Yeah, J-My, the club seats are where we know LBC sits in good. Because I see the pictures LBC sends me during the game. We know he sits in good seats.
Hey, here we got Mrs. LBC.
Where's
Mrs.
Mrs.
LBC. Mrs. LBC.
Mrs. LBC! Live on the show, guys. We've got Mrs. LBC. How exciting is this? This is USC Postgame Live here in the voice of college football. Live outside the LA Coliseum with LBC Trojan.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby.
It's a wild night. LBC, we go by my fraternity house and just like tell them hello.
All right, man.
They're celebrating tonight.
I got to stop off at Chano's and get me a burrito.
You got to get, hey, our house is just on the way. It's at 28th and Severance. Go say hi.
Here we go. Here we go. We're going to go to the merchandise store. Hey, we're on YouTube right now. Can we get a fight on?
Fight on.
Fight on, baby.
Fight on.
Beat the Domers.
Fight on. Let's go.
All right. We're making our way through the collie here, man. This is unbelievable.
All right. Well, hey, to everybody watching, real quick, as LBC makes his way, guys, we want to hear from you tonight. We want to know this is a great night. This is exciting for USC. A little rough for Notre Dame. We're going to talk to Will and D in just a minute here. We want to know what you guys think of the game. So we'd love for you to call in the show. You can also engage with us in the chat. If you have questions you want to address, you can do a super chat, help support the channel. Anybody who wants right now can you just hold your phone up to that QR code. It'll help you dial into the show, or we'll put the link in the chat right now. Real quick, and we're waiting on Tim will be joining us in just a minute. We've lost LBC slightly. While we're there, Will ND. Will, sorry to your Domers, but we're going to talk a little more in detail about this. Drew Pine played a hell of a game. Drew Pine, I will be honest, I did not have faith in Drew Pine, and he turned out to play fantastic tonight. Kudos to Notre Dame, guys. Notre Dame played really well. Really well.
Caleb Williams is really good, man. I mean, it sucks. I hate losing. I don't like losing to the Trojans, especially with arrogant bastards like Rick.
Hey, we're going to talk about Arrogant Bastard Ale, the best drink there is, in just a minute.
But hey, man, we'll be back. Drew played well. Michael Mayer played well. It sucks that it was this Michael Mayer and Isaiah Foskey's last game. But we'll be back. You see the recruiting class that we're bringing in. We'll
Yeah.
Next
They're
year.
going to be, hey, well, they played great tonight. That was an epic, great Notre Dame USC game. And while we're there, guys, we're being joined by friends of the show. We've got Eddie Reyna and Desmond Cox. Guys, welcome to the show.
How's it going, guys?
It was crazy.
What did you guys think of that?
The defense did exactly what I thought they would do. They got thick against the run. I mean, if you look at USC versus the run this year, the teams that hurt them were teams that were able to open up the defense, make them play, in nickel and dime packages, and then gash them in the gaps with wide spreads. Teams like UCLA. But teams that, try to run the ball down their throat, they were able to control. Notre Dame doesn't have a threat at quarterback that really scares you. Drew had a really, really good game, but he was given that opportunity. And it was a matter of just like, let this guy give Drew as much rope as you can, because eventually he'll hang himself. And he did it twice. And that's exactly the way I thought the defense was going to play. I broke my heart to see Golfer get hurt. I mean, like I said, I'm a Monarch and I'm still hurting from last night, and Golford's a Bosco kid, but just seeing him, screaming in pain at the goal line there, knowing that he's playing with the club, was heartbreaking. But yeah, it was a great game and a beautiful game plan. We saw exactly what the Notre Dame fans were saying. We saw a team dominate the line of scrimmage and run it down somebody's throat, and the other team couldn't stop the run. There was no way that team could stop the run, except it was USC running it down Notre Dame's throat, and there was no way they could stop the run. I mean, they made a Heisman Trophy winner today with that running game. I mean, it was awesome. And with how banged up Utah is, at quarterback, and what they went through last week, and how shell shocked the Ducks must be. I think the USC has a really, really, really good shot. I would put it probably in the 65-70 percentile to win the Pac-12 championship.
And Eddie, were you at the game tonight?
No, my baby got hand, foot, and mouth. So I'm
oh no!
Yeah, I'm over here dealing with blisters. So,
okay, the reason I say that is so you're probably aware of this. The Peach Bowl and Playoff Committee were at the USC game tonight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you would have told me, 12 months ago, as of Monday, that the worst case scenario of everything went wrong in the last game of the year for USC, they make a New Year's Six Bowl, I would have asked you to take a drug test.
Or to share.
Yeah. Think about that. Worst case scenario, if everything goes to hell on Friday, they're going to a New Year's Six Bowl. That is insane. Crazy.
Yeah,
I'm worried that the Dallas Cowboys are going to show up with $100 million. That's the biggest concern.
Oh, what a wild night. Desmond, what did you think?
Man, I'm just glad as we got this over with and we can move to the last game. This was 3-game stretch where it's it was we're back to USC football where we're actually caring, where if other team scores a touchdown, like we're hurting that they scored a touchdown. I mean, the past years, getting to the third quarter, I think a lot of people were leaving the game, we're turning the TV off. But now we're getting back to, sticking through games, sticking through everything. I'm glad we got one more to go. And I know the whole, 3, 4, 5 weeks ago, everybody was talking about, a lot of USC fans were talking about, let's not go to the playoff all ball. We're going to get killed by Georgia and Michigan and blah, blah, blah.
I've changed my mind on that. What about you?
I've always been a proponent of get there. We lose, but that shows the recruitments that we're there.
Well,
But now,
and by the way,
I'm at the point that
there was something about like 100 of the top recruits in the country were at this game tonight. Like
Yeah.
more recruits than we've ever had at a game, and they saw something epic. I think they saw the Coliseum just electric.
full. They saw it full. They saw. I mean, I'm in Arkansas, so obviously I can't be there. But I mean, just the blimp shots that they had on the TV. I mean, it looked like a really full stadium. It looked like something that LA people wanted to be at. But I mean, just going back to that whole thing about oh, we'll just get killed. You can't tell me we couldn't hang with Michigan after what CJ Stroud did to their defensive backs. I mean, you can't tell me we couldn't hang with some of these teams. I mean, just give us a shot. And I think we have number 13. We have 6 running the ball as hard as anybody I've ever seen. I mean, we haven't seen anybody run the ball that hard probably since Lindell White. I mean, he's just running.
He looked like Lindale, didn't he?
Yes, and I don't know, whatever the live show was on Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever that was. And I mentioned that if we're gonna get 6-7 yards out of Austin, there's no way you can stop this offense. I mean, it's just impossible. And I know Caleb didn't throw the ball for normally what he does, but I mean, it's just so hard to stop.
Well, he looked almost better in the times he didn't when everyone was covered, and he ran around. He made it look like a playground football, like in a bad movie.
Yeah, and you look at those plays, you're like, oh my gosh, like we're just under pressure. We're just, our O-line can't do anything. And at times it does seem like that, but at times it looks like Caleb's just inviting that. Like, please come to me.
Them.
Please come to me. Give me 3 more seconds so somebody can come back down the sideline or somebody can come, across the middle of the field for me.
Exactly. And either I'm going to run it for 30 yards, I'm going to throw it to Jordan for 30 yards. Either way, you're out 30 yards.
Right. And just to speak on the defense, I think our defense played really, really well. I mean,
I thought they looked great.
That tight end's a defensive matchup with any team. I mean, I don't care who, Georgia, Ohio State. I don't care. He's a matchup problem.
No, the Michael Mayer on Max Williams moment was a little bit.
Right. I mean, it's like
rough.
There's nothing you could do about that. So I'll chalk
that kind of looked like, when you're like playing football or something and like your little cousin or your little brother's like kind of like hanging on you and you're just like playing it. That's kind of what it looked like.
Right. Yeah.
He's a great player.
Yeah, I'll chalk that one up. Like they could have that touchdown. That's just going to happen on any team. And then they had that other go route where I don't know who didn't get their head turned around. But that was just a great ball, a great play. I mean, the offense is going to have those, right? So, but as far as just controlling the line of scrimmage, I mean, they rarely. I don't know the stats, but did they really have more than 5 rushes over 10 or 15 yards that whole game?
Probably not. I'll tell you though, they played well.
Yeah, they played very well.
Hey, real quick, friend of the show, Gixxer Squid, pointing out the Coliseum was packed, energy was contagious, recruits, thousands of fervent USC fans, and one united local focal point, CFP. Real quick, friend of the show, D-Rock Irish, had to pop in and congratulate all Trojan fans your victory night. Hey, D-Rock Irish, Notre Dame played great tonight. I thought Drew Pine played great. I thought their defense played great. I thought this was an epic Notre Dame USC game. Hats off to the Irish.
And I'll say one more thing before other people jump on. I listened to the college football playoff show on Tuesday, and they said the reason LSU was above USC is because they wanted to see more defense. I don't know how much more defense you can take from this. I mean, they scored essentially 20 points.
I'm sorry, LSU?
Yeah, right. I mean, they just got.
Is that the team that lost to the team who can't even beat a Sun Belt? Anybody?
Right. So
LSU.
I don't know what else the playoff committee needs to see. We have top 1-2 offense in the nation, and then the turnover margin. I mean, everybody's calling that a fluke for the first 4, 5, 6 weeks. You can't be a fluke if we're on week 13 and it's still happening. So I mean, just all around great game. The special teams even played great.
For anybody who's wondering, that's the new abbreviation of that school in Louisiana that the playoff committee put above us. LOLSU. So, we can use that as our abbreviation now. Thank you, playoff committee. I think you got your answer.
But, yeah, it was a great game all around. Notre Dame was very physical. I mean, all facets of their defense is just super physical. Corners, linebackers. That D-line is super physical, super fast. They're gonna be something to mess with these next couple of years as they start getting those recruits in.
Yeah, I thought the recruits were absolutely part probably very, very much impressed by that. Like that's exactly what you would want for recruits to see. That energy, the world going wild, the stadium going crazy, packed house. We saw lots of celebrities there. Brian Cushing working the crowd. That
I
was
was about
something
to say,
else.
outside of the huge celebrity row that used to be there, which they didn't really show any of that and be on the sideline. Outside of that, I mean, it looked like a peak, 2008, 2007. I won't go all the way back 2005, but I mean, right after that time, it looked just as good.
Yeah, and right now, by the way, guys, update, we've got Wazoo up 10-7 in the second quarter against Washington. And on that note, real quick, we've got and Des, stay with us if you want. We'd love to have you stay with us. Friend of the show, Larry Pilgrim, a devout Utah fan. Larry, how are things looking for the Utes tonight? Great win for Utah.
Yeah, they had the third stringers in the second half. So,
what do you think of the SC game?
Awesome. I got to watch the whole game because it didn't conflict with anything. I figured Notre Dame had not seen anything like Caleb. Sorry, Will. I was trying to tell you. He's a different cat. And he looked great. He looked like Caleb. He's just next level. So he's kind of the Patrick Mahomes of college football right now, if you ask me.
He really is, isn't he?
Yeah, he does just off platform, just buying time. He's got that. He's got that it factor to go along with everything else. So, no, they played great. And what really shocked me is how well USC was able to run the ball. USC's offensive line was the definitely more physical line. And their defensive line held up pretty good against Notre Dame's offensive line, if you ask me. So it was very impressive. Very impressive.
I was really impressed by them. I'll tell you, Larry, I was having this conversation with my brother, and I realized this sounds like, something straight out of Convenient Theories for You magazine. But I think in a lot of ways, the Utah loss helped USC become stronger and a better team.
Yeah, Utah's just a different team. It's a different mentality. And, sometimes, teams will either bring you up or take you down. And I think them playing Utah kind of cemented them as a team a little bit. I think caused some growing pains within that program and probably, gave more of a brotherhood to the Trojans after that loss. With walking off that field, you could just tell the heartbreak. And when everybody's heart breaks together, it kind of brings you closer. And so that's what I think, brought them together more. They've been playing really good. You guys have battled through some injuries, got through it. And the team's looking really, really good. Looking really good.
And Larry, I don't know if you appreciate this. The Shillelagh is home.
Yeah, I honestly I didn't know anything about the Shillelagh. That sounds like something out of a Hebrew book.
It's the Jeweled Shillelagh. It's actually an Irish club.
Washington just scored a touchdown and went up.
All right. Wait, now, so if Washington, you guys want Washington to win, right?
If you guys should watch this game because if Washington wins, you guys face the Utes. If Wazoo wins, you guys face the Ducks.
Exactly. And how about those Beavs today? If friends of the show, Connor or any of our Oregon State friends are there, guys, your Beavs today were something else.
Tony, you didn't believe in them.
I did not have enough faith. I was cheering for them, but I thought the Ducks would have too much. And the Pac-12 refs tried their best. Guys, also, by the way, big announcement. USC fans, listen up. Everybody who's a Pac-12 fan, listen up. Mike Mothershed, generally regarded as probably leading the worst officiating team in the country or the second worst, depending on how you feel about the Duddy team with the Pac-12, has announced his retirement. He is gone. We are unsure whether that is at the Pac-12's request or instruction or if that is of his own volition. But one of the two worst teams in the Pac-12 are officiating, gone. So they they botched their last game at Cal yesterday. So bad that the word mother shedding became a verb.
I kind of feel bad for him though a little bit, don't you? Won't you kind of miss Mike Mother shit a little bit?
Not in the least. Not
Hey,
in
Tony,
the least. Truly one of the worst officials in the game.
There is one thing I've got to say that USC did today. As a back-to-pack guy, they legitimized the conference in a big way by what they pulled off today against Notre Dame.
They did, didn't they?
They did, because with what Notre Dame's been doing to everybody. Yeah.
Oh, we're echoing. I think we're echoing on somebody's got the computer on. Is that Will? Oh, Larry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So,
Okay.
yeah, I'm really, I think USC just legitimized the pack and everything that we've been doing. And it just states USC is that good. And there are some good teams because some good teams have given them some battles. Oregon State, So it was a good win for the conference as well.
It's also good that the Pac-12 didn't eat itself this year. But I'm glad it's USC at top and not, being eaten by the other Pac-12 teams. But we've seen, the last, going back to you guys just talking about Oregon and Utah, or it was, I don't know if that was a broadcast, but Oregon looking to, run into the college football playoff for Justin Herbert, and then Utah comes in there and beats him in the Pac-12 championship and knocks him out. So we still have one more game, but as of right now, it's good that the Pac-12 is not just eating itself out of national relevance.
Yeah, because that's been a problem that we've had really badly in past years. Sorry. Can you hear me, Desmond?
Yep, I can hear you.
Sorry, Larry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, sorry about that. Guys, so Caleb, I think, has the Heisman in the driver's seat. Like, if he plays well, I think win or lose next week, it's probably his trophy.
Yeah, I think he wins.
If he plays well. Assuming he plays well.
Yeah, I know Max Duggan. I know they're starting that campaign for him. But I don't know if he has the numbers. I think he just has that 12-0 record. But yeah, Caleb just has to play.
And I'll tell you guys also, I don't think that I know I've said it. TCU is the team that just keeps pulling off the magic, and I keep saying, okay, it's like a roulette wheel. Like it's red, it's red, it's red, it's red. You're like, okay, it's got to be black sometime. Like they really have the weakest wins of any team, but they just keep winning.
You're gonna love them, and the earwax will leave on you.
They keep winning, and so as a result, they deserve where they are. But I don't think they beat Kansas State next week. What do you guys think?
Unless Kansas State loses their quarterbacks again.
Well, that could well be.
Yeah, I would love.
If they knock out the quarterbacks like they do, who knows?
Where's Lincoln Riley's brother at? Is he at TCU or is he at Kansas State?
He's at TCU. He's
at
offensive
TCU.
coordinator.
Okay. I think the broadcaster they said he was at Kansas State. So that confused me. I thought he was at TCU.
Yeah, he's at TCU. And Jay's asking, who does USC play? Jay, that depends. If Washington wins, we play Utah. If Wazoo wins, we play Oregon. Paul, I like that attitude. I don't care who USC plays next week. Let's just win. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, how did we feel about Eric Gentry today? I thought he played fairly well.
I thought he coming back from injury. I think he played well. I think he's going to keep playing better each game. I'll tell you guys my opinion on who we would want to play. I defer to you guys in the chat. Tell us who you want to see. I'll tell you, I would rather see Utah, not because I'm afraid of Oregon, but because I think the chance to beat Utah would cleanse our record of that loss in a lot of ways.
I would say Utah as well, just because we know Cam Rising and that Utah team. Not saying they're bad, but they're just different teams away from Reeser.
Away from Rice Eccles, you mean?
Oh, Rice Eccles, yeah, the Reeser.
Yeah,
but they're just different.
They're different. But at the same time, the chance to beat them sort of cleanses our soul if we win.
Right. I feel like we should have won the last game, right? I mean, we let a tight end go for Hall of Fame numbers.
Well, the referee who humiliated Guys, the referee who humiliated the conference today in the Oregon game, just absolutely humiliated the role of officiating in that Oregon game today, is the same referee who screwed up the USC Oregon or the USC Utah game. Who I also hope is fired by the Pac, because, like I said, they got rid of Mothershed. Hopefully, they'll get rid of Duddy too.
So will we have Pac-12 refs for the Pac-12 championship? I know we had ACC refs today, which
were the ACC refs today? Okay,
yeah, that's what they said on the broadcast.
Yeah, we probably insisted on that, knowing USC. We're probably like, Notre Dame, just bring your friends. It's fine. They can't be worse than ours.
Right.
They do hate us. They hate us.
Really? What happened with Cal, Will? Will, I got one word for you. Cal.
No, that was Pac-12 refs, right?
No, those were ACC refs.
Okay, well, they hated us against Syracuse and Clemson.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
We got to get your thoughts, Will. What were your...
Yeah, Will, tell us more your thoughts from the Irish perspective. Sorry, we've been blabbing about SC.
I'm just really disappointed in our O-line. Like, your D-line played great, but I think our O-line should have played better. That was really what cost us the game and any chance of winning. So I'm just sad about that. But sorry, I'm watching the Cougs and Huskies here. But yeah, I mean, I felt like we really couldn't have played that much better in the other positions. Like, we couldn't stop Caleb Williams. Like, I thought we would contain him a bit better. Like, we got him down a couple times, but he's really good. And hopefully next year we can adjust and play better against him in South Bend. But yeah, I mean, this season overall is a failure. It just sucks. So
everybody hates USC.
Hey, Will, you're a stand-up guy, my man. And
yeah,
I know Notre Dame has an outstanding offensive line, and our defense has been berated by the national media themselves. But you got to see at the end of the first half, you got introduced to Thule with a sack there, and Solomon Byrd had a sack in the second half, and you got introduced to Kalen Bullock, and we also forced a fumble. So USC did what we do. We created 2 turnovers. You know, our defense isn't flashy. Yeah, you got a few runs, and Pine, you know, he connected some passes, but at the end of the day, the defense made the stops when they needed to make the stops.
What do you guys think of that spot on the 4th and 1? Like, I don't want to be a complainer or anything, but that spot, like, I thought we had the first down, and then they bumped, and then they backed us up like a whole 6 feet. Did you think it was the right spot?
That's a great question. I don't know, Tony. You probably saw that on the broadcast. I couldn't see it.
Yeah, I generally thought so. The officiating was okay, but I thought they got at least from what I saw in the reviews, they got the reviews right generally.
Yeah, on that spot,
the fumble, like they said it wasn't a fumble, or like they thought he recovered it.
He definitely recovered that.
Yeah, he recovered his own fumble, and then he was down because he's laying on the ground with control. Then the guy came and punched it out. So, like I said, the refs, they screwed some stuff up on the calls, but they fixed it in the review, and that's what the technology is for. Yeah, and the problem that the Pac-12 has, particularly Mike Mothershed and Mark Duddy, who are awful, is that their crews do not use the technology right, and they botch calls even with the technology, or they don't use the technology to fix their calls. So this crew tonight, kudos to them. I thought they were strong refs who took this is a big game, lots of hits. It's a hard-hitting game. It's a tough game, and I thought that they refereed it pretty well.
Yeah.
Hey, Tony,
Sid is saying it wasn't a fumble. Sid, it was a fumble, but Addison recovered it. And because Addison was laying on the ground as he recovers it, then he's down. The fumble's recovered and down. Then when they punched it out, that wasn't a fumble because he was already down.
Hey, Tony, I'd like to point something else out. We were talking. Is Larry Pilgrim still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, and Tony, you remember the conversation we had post Utah game? Is I was very frustrated with Lincoln Riley in the play calling. If you could not stop Dalton Kincaid in the Utah offense at halftime, you have to make adjustments. You have to run the ball. Do you remember that conversation we had, Tony?
Exactly. And what do we do tonight, LBC?
All right, tonight, our boy Austin Jones, 25 carries for over 150 yards, and our time of possession was 35 minutes and change to Notre Dame's 24 minutes and change. That is how you manage the game and keep your defense fresh and off the field. As I pointed out, that was a big mistake. Up at Utah, our defense was gassed at the end of the game because of altitude, and we didn't run the ball more. We got too addicted with the quick strikes on offense with the passing game. Today was, we're going to shove it down your mouth, Notre Dame. You're going to take it, and you're going to like it.
I was going to ask about.
And we did. We punched you in the mouth, Notre Dame. We played your brand of football. We heard about your defensive line all the time. And our offensive line, much maligned, just shoved it down your mouth. And you know what? Taste that, Irish. Taste the Cardinal and gold, because we are back. The arrogant bastards are back.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
Real quick, just to clarify to JWS Studios, Utah is not out. If right now tonight, if Washington wins, we play Utah. If Wazoo wins, we play Oregon. That is confirmed. Not only is it confirmed, but the graphic that I used to show it was used by John Canzano. So I mean, it's verified by the Pac. I thought it was actually kind of cool, guys. John Canzano actually texted me. I was all excited. I was fangirling as I'm talking to Canzano on my phone. So that was kind of cool. So yeah, Utah is not out. Utah is still very much in this. It depends on what happens with Washington State.
It doesn't matter who we play. USC's back. We're the last hope for the Pac-12. We're actually going to give Larry Scott, much maligned, now defunct conference, the respect that maybe it should deserve. But it took a decade, and Oregon couldn't do it. Utah couldn't do it. No other team could do it. And now you've got USC.
Now,
and you know what? Love us or hate us, we're the only hope for your respect. So
now, LBC, this week you recommended a beer for USC fans, and we just put that back on the screen. Because I think it's more important than ever tonight. What is your official beer recommendation? This is not sponsored, but what is your official beer recommendation for USC fans tonight?
Hey, go get yourself a Stone Arrogant Bastard Ale. Even if you're not a Trojan, if you're a member of the Pac-12, you want to drink this beer. You need to drink this beer because you know what? Those wussies from LSU choked down at College Station. Those Buckeyes just barfed on themselves up in Columbus to Michigan to a questionable J.J. McCarthy, right? They gave up big plays. They didn't play defense. And guess what? Get yourself that beer, pull up to the TV on Tuesday night, and wait till you see USC in the top 4 of the college football playoff. Good night, Ohio State. Good night, LSU. Good night, SEC. We are back. We are hated. Love us or hate us. You want us. You need us, Pac-12, and we're back.
LBC, I love it. And hey, guys, right now there are, between the two different channel sites, there are about 400 of you guys watching us tonight, which is really cool. That's awesome. We want to hear from you guys. So we'd love to have you call into the show. We've got the a QR code right there on the screen. And we'll put the link right there in the chat as well. We'd love to hear what you guys think who were watching tonight. Tell us what you think about whoever's arguing Washington wins, Washington is in. That is not true. JWS Studios, we're going to put you in timeout because you're telling people things that are not true. If Washington wins, Utah goes. If Wazoo wins, Oregon goes. That's it. Again, that's verified by the Pac, by Canzano, and by Wilner. So please, whoever that is, don't tell people information that's not accurate. Once again, if Washington wins, we play Utah.
Tony, may I ask you a question? If
Wazoo wins, we play Oregon. What was that? Sorry, go ahead.
May I ask you a question? You were watching the broadcast, and Des on there as well. What was the vibe from Herb Street and Fowler? Because they shape the narrative, the national narrative.
It was as glorious as we could possibly. If our PR people had scripted it, it would still not have sounded as glowing of USC as it was.
Yeah, I mean, they were raving about. I mean, obviously Caleb Williams, and we already know what he was going to get, but I mean, just what the defense was doing, they were very surprised by how physical we were up front. I mean, they know how the secondary is. You know, we can be very aggressive and give up plays, but that front force, that front seven, I think they were very surprised by that. I listened to the the post game when they started talking about the playoff, and it was essentially, if they win, they're in. I mean, that's all there was. They were very. I think they pretty much think they could hang with anybody. And yeah, it was just glowing from start to finish.
You know,
Yeah,
I've got
a coronation.
I've got a couple of points, Tony, that I think people really miss out on. And, you know, they might say certain teams just don't play good defense. Have you seen the quarterbacks and receivers and the running backs in the Pac-12? I mean, those teams score and push the ball against anybody they play. So it's not that the Pac's not playing defense. We've just got a lot of great quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers in the Pac-12 right now. So it's not that the defenses are bad. We've just got some really good, skilled people in the conference.
Larry Pilgrim,
Yeah,
that is a spot-on comment. Yeah. I mean, you take a look.
Yeah,
I'd say at a team like Cal. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the Pac-12 has probably the top 20, top 25, or 3 of the top 25 quarterbacks in the nation.
No, 5 of the top 15.
Yeah. All right, guys, we've got Ryan Cleary joining us. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Hey, gentlemen, I've been following you guys ever since you guys started this whole season, and been a long-standing Trojan fan. And I have to say, this is absolutely their best game that they have performed this year, by far, hands down, entering into the Pac-12 championship game. And, you know, look out. I mean, you just don't know. With Alex Gentry coming back, I had a feeling that the defense was going to step up, play a lot better. But even Alex, I didn't feel like he impacted the game as much as I thought he would. But boy, wait until he gets to the Pac-12 championship game. He's going to really start impacting, because he makes a big difference. When Alex was out, our defense started giving up a lot more than when he was actually in the game. And so for me, it's like seeing him coming back, I was like, I'd be hands down willing to bet we were going to have a much better defensive battle this game. And just, of course, the way that, you know, Notre Dame actually runs the ball, we were able to stack it just like the previous people were talking about, you know, versus playing the Pac-12 where it's wide open. But
yeah, and Paul in the chat just made a great point, pointing out Eric Gentry is a difference maker. Eric Gentry is just awesome.
He absolutely is. And, I'm just so excited. I mean, nobody expected this. None of us expected any of this to happen. You know, I mean, we all hoped for it, but I mean, we've been hoping for freaking the last 8 years, 9 years, 10 years. So, but to see it come together like this in 1 year, I mean, it's
amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. It's all about the coaching. That's what it boils down to. You know, he brought in great, fantastic, you know, players that wanted to win, wanted to bring back the Trojan tradition. And from my understanding, there was like over 100, you know, top recruits over there today. My gosh, how many of those guys are we going to be picking up after this game?
Tons. I mean, if you're a recruit, guys, how could you not love that tonight? I mean, you guys heard the band blasting away. Yeah. You saw Trout. I mean, it was USC in all of our pageantry and glory. I did laugh. I had to have a little like classics discussion with a lady in the chat of the pregame show. This lady was saying, "This is so Roman. Why isn't it Trojan?" I had to explain to her the concept of the Iliad and the Aeneid and how they're related and the relation from Rome to Troy. And she goes, "Well, sure, if that's what you think." And I said, "Well, it's carved on the side of Tommy Trojan, so I guess it's more than what I think."
Well, just for this game, I purposely wore my Rose Bowl.
Yes.
But I went to the 2017 Rose Bowl with my dad against Penn State. We were at that game, and I had to purposely wear it. Lost my dad, a few years back, and I was just telling him today, man, I'm hoping you're watching this, because finally, USC football's back.
It's so exciting. You got Jay Miley telling us the Coliseum was electric tonight. You guys, you could see it on TV. Like, you could feel the energy watching on TV. Damon Vargas asking, did it sell out? I was told it was a sellout. I don't know if has anyone confirmed that.
Yeah,
I saw online there was no tickets available as of yesterday.
Okay.
And it was a sellout. And I'm sorry, what is the gentleman's name that has been watching us, whose father
Ryan.
recently passed away?
Ryan.
Ryan. Hey, Ryan. God bless your dad. I was at that Rose Bowl, and my wife and I, we had our two young daughters at the game. They were probably 12 and 9 at the time, and they saw the comeback, and my oldest daughter was crying because she couldn't believe we came back. And I said, honey, this is what fight on means. You never give up. You never give up. And that was the greatest lesson she ever learned that day, is that it doesn't matter, because she's a soccer player. It's like, that's what fight on means. You can talk about it, but when you actually see it, it was pretty remarkable. And God bless your dad. And I want to, there was a pattern that happened tonight that happened last week as well with UCLA. Notre Dame ran for 90 yards on 23 carries. Okay, we shut down the running game, and we let Drew Pine, attempt to beat us. And he got some passes. He played a lot better than I thought. But at the end of the day, he threw the pick and he had a turnover. And they played into the game plan. So you shut down Zach Charbonnet, and you shut down Notre Dame's 3 running backs to less than 100 yards, and you let the quarterbacks try to beat you and Caleb Williams, and it just didn't happen.
No.
And by the way, you're getting folks in the chat are sending lots of hugs. The AWS Studios says sorry for your loss, Mike. All of us truly bless your family. Your dad was watching tonight and putting in some good words for us.
Absolutely, guys.
That was awesome.
Fight on, and we got Friday night, guys. Friday night. Let's see who we play.
It's gonna be fun. Thanks. Hey guys, we want to hear from more of you guys. You guys are all watching. We got, like I said, we got about 400 of you right now between the different rooms. So tell us what you guys think. There's a QR code. Just hold your phone up, your camera up. It'll put you straight into us. Or you can use the link that's in the chat. Putting the link in the chat again right now. So we want to hear from you guys. Nostradamus says, I was a proud USC fan tonight. And, also a special shout out. This is a magical season. And in magical seasons, we get new fans. Folks that didn't used to watch the team or root for the team, that get to appreciate how fun it is and what a great, amazing world the Trojan family is. So we love having you guys, and you're part of the Trojan family too. The ACC champion Trojan family. And on that note, let's welcome to the show, friend of the show, the real MVP. DeReal, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tony, for having me. Tony, Larry. Larry, first off, man, your Utah might make the championship game, so congrats to them. They're still alive. And
Thank you.
Tony, congrats to the USC Trojans, man. They've got a heck of a team,
Thanks,
of a
DeReal.
coach.
And congrats to your Kentucky Wildcats.
Oh, thank you.
Is the Governor's Cup?
That is correct.
It's back home.
Well, it stayed home.
Or it stayed home. Yeah, we got 4 in a row.
Something like that. Kentucky hasn't lost a non-conference game since 2017, but that's not the point. The point is USC should be ranked in the top 4 when the college football playoffs rankings come out Tuesday.
They looked good, didn't they?
They looked great.
DeReal, I thought it was the best game they've played all year.
Oh yeah, most complete game for sure. I was shocked by how easily they were able to run the ball on Notre Dame.
DeReal, did you watch USC in 2002?
No.
So this is the creepiest thing, DeReal. I swear to God, it's the exact same thing that happened this year. Like Little Rocky, new coach, Little Rocky coming in the beginning of the season, and they just snowballed to play better and better and better and better. And all of a sudden, everybody started talking about our quarterback, Carson Palmer, who'd been just kind of nobody of note before that. And it was like in the UCLA game, he became the national hero. And in the Notre Dame game, he won himself the Heisman.
Yeah, and I think Caleb Williams won the Heisman tonight. I mean, I don't see anybody else who's even in contention. That's how far away I think he's ahead of everybody else.
And Darrell, what do you think when they hang if they hang jersey number 13 in the peristyle of the Coliseum, should they hang number 5 again too?
Well, there's a few more games they need to play out first. So let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Did you hear what I said?
Yes, hang number 13.
If they hang number 13, should they hang number 5 as well? Rehang number 5.
Maybe.
I love how nobody's still worn number 5 though. We have all these years that people respect that number 5 is what it is, even with it not being on the whatever. I mean, nobody's worn it.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't know if you guys have seen, they've started to do some real subtle things in the marketing where they're including number 5 on the list.
Interesting.
So we'll see what they do. Dale says they need to give Reggie his Heisman back. I agree with you. Austin says history repeats itself. It really, really, really is. And hey guys, even if Reggie doesn't have his Heisman back, he does have his Wendy's burger, and those are some really funny commercials.
This is true, Tony.
I love those commercials.
I wanted to point out that Antonio Morales, I think he's the USA guy for The Athletic. He posted on Twitter that Lincoln Riley was taking a picture with the 5-star lineman out of Modern Day. What's his name? The other.
Are you talking Mateo?
Yeah, they were seen taking pictures with each other after the game.
I believe it. Mateo was there. They were all there, guys. All the Modern Day guys, the Bosco guys. They were all there. And Darrell, question for you. Do you know anybody at ACC headquarters? Can they just FedEx us the trophy?
Oh, I don't know. I thought it was on its way to Marshall.
I think we get it over Marshall, don't we? We have to play that.
So. Might have to take a detour route.
A detour route. We'll share it with Marshall. With Marshall.
It might have actually head to Stanford. So if you go to Stanford's office, 3 doors down the hall to the right, they might have it there.
We win the head. We beat them, so we get the head-to-head.
Okay.
I guess we just have to share it with Marshall.
They have it. Will, man, what happened?
Brought the ball like I thought we would, and Caleb Williams is better than I thought he would. I didn't think it would be this good, but I knew it would be good.
That's basically my downfall too. Now, Tony, let me ask you a question. Would you rather play Washington or Utah?
Actually, it's Oregon or Utah.
Oregon or Utah, sorry.
Yeah, if Wazoo wins, we play Oregon. If Washington wins, we play Utah. And it looks like Wazoo just scored a touchdown. They're now up 24-21. They're about to be at 24-21. I'll tell you, Darrell, I'm torn. I would love to play Oregon because we haven't played them this year, and to beat them would be nice. But given that we lost to Utah, in that one point game, it was real close. I would love the opportunity to play them again, where a win would let us would cement USC's resume to be like, yeah, we lost them and then we beat them.
Yeah,
I think that
one of the Big 12 teams did that a while back ago.
Yeah, it was solid. I think Kansas State might do it to TCU next week.
Yeah.
The other thing, I think I agree with Paul K here. He says Oregon does not deserve to be in a championship. Oregon collapsed today. Even after the referees did everything they possibly could do to give Oregon the game, it was really sketchy. So I think Utah. I honestly think. They've lost a couple games, but I think Utah's probably earned it more. What do you guys think? What do you guys in the chat think? Who deserves it more, guys? Put us in the chat. Does Oregon deserve it more? Or does Utah deserve it more?
I do think it's fun to see the Oregon and USC fans go back and forth on social media because those are some fun conversations to look at. That is the one big pro about Oregon if Oregon makes it, but Utah deserves it.
So will most people would say that USC fans and Oregon fans going at each other on social media is not a good thing? Most people would use that as an opportunity to go on a Twitter vacation.
If we have the privilege of playing Oregon in the Pac-12 championship, they will be reminded how they backed in and how the Cougs didn't kook it up, but they served it up for Oregon. So if they are lucky enough to have the Cougs win, they will know that they backed into this championship opportunity. And I look forward to it. We could play whoever. It doesn't really matter right now because nobody is going to beat us, bottom line. Sorry, Larry Pilgrim, but we get the chance to play you on a neutral field. Utah's going down.
Well, it doesn't matter if it's a neutral field or not. We lost 2 of our defensive ends since we played you, and Cam Rising is not the same Cam Rising. So
right.
It does. I don't.
Is gone.
Yeah, neutral field or not, you guys could beat us at Rice Eccles if you played us. We're down. That our defensive end that gave Caleb fits. He went down at after Washington State. So we don't have the speed guy on the edge to kind of contain him anymore. So, I mean, I would just hope we wouldn't get embarrassed. Let's just put it that way.
No, Utah's a good team. The thing about Utah is they're a good team. They're well coached. They're well prepared. They play hard. They play smart too. Like Utah doesn't make the kind of mistakes that a lot of other teams make.
Yeah, I would hope it would just be a good game. I don't know. I don't think, to me, Oregon State Oregon after the game they played against Utah, I just went, I agreed with Tim that I feel like Washington and USC and UCLA, just due to their health, are probably the 3 best teams at the moment in the Pac-12, just based on the roster health, if that makes sense. So I don't think Utah or Oregon will beat you guys in the championship, if I'm being honest. You guys are just you're sitting really good at the end of the year, which is what you hope for. So
it is. I'm telling you, this is a. I feel that 2002 game, 2002 season, it just steamrolled from game to game to game, and it was the craziest season. So guys, I'll tell you, I had just moved to Washington D.C. For that season, and the very first week I was there, I went to this bar where it was like the USC alumni bar, and there were 2 tables of us, literally just 2 tables of USC people at this bar, and the next game there were 4 tables, and the next game they were and they moved it to a bigger bar, and they moved it to a bigger bar, and they moved it to a bigger bar, and when we finally played Iowa in that Rose Bowl, they had the entire floor of the biggest sports bar in all of Washington D.C., and there were pom-poms and about 500 people there. And I feel like that's the same excitement that we've got going right now. JWS Studios, JWS, absolutely, from 4-8 to 11-1. Think about that, guys. From 4-8 to 11-1.
Probably 12-1, Tony.
I'm hoping, Darrell, from your lips to God's ears on that one.
Yeah. What makes me even more excited is that all these recruits got to see a meaningful game, right? I mean, it's Notre Dame, yes, UCLA, yeah. I mean, those are meaningful in itself for what it's worth, but meaningful as in a national relevance. These recruits got to come and see a packed Collie. They got to see a game that actually meant something in the nation, national relevance, and they got to see a show. I mean, they got to see celebrities on the field again. They got to see Caleb. I mean, all of that encompasses to excitement. I mean, far beyond winning. It's, everything. What happens on the field puts USC back, but what happens around the stadium, what happens in the stadium, what happens on the national media, that's what puts USC back where it needs to be.
And that is in Vegas. The Shillelagh's home, guys. The Victory Bell is home. The Heisman might come home. And even the ACC Championship. Real quick, again, for anybody who's just joining us, we've got another 50 of you have joined in the last few minutes. We'd love to hear about you guys, hear what you think about the game, which would be just absolutely awesome. You can just hold your phone up, hold your camera up to that QR code on whatever screen you're watching this on, or we put the link in the chat as well.
Tony, do you think there's any chance Riley wins National Coach of the Year?
I don't know. I think he maybe should, but there's a lot of coaches that have done some. I think that he gets a little bit. He is part of an amazing putting together an amazing institution. Like he should maybe get like athletic department builder of the year, which actually we just got athletic director of the year. But I think that people kind of, the public, even though I think he should, I think the public kind of credits the institution, like all the pieces in place and the assistant coaches and the players and all the infrastructure that the school has built and the people and all the stuff around it. Whereas you look at somebody like Sonny Dykes, like even Jonathan Smith, I mean, heck, even Jed Fish, who just took absolute garbage and made it successful. I think one of the downsides of being USC, and I think Pete Carroll suffered from this too, is that we get all the wonderful benefits of being a wild, historic blue blood, but then no one feels bad enough for us to give us Coach of the Year. What
Sounds
do
like
you
a
guys
pretty
think?
good problem to have.
It is. It's a good. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm not complaining. I'm just like, just for context. Like people are like, okay, yeah, you have too many Heisman trophies for Coach of the Year. Like Saban. Saban doesn't get Coach of the Year.
You have to look at the Tulane coach too. He's had a
another
year.
one. Willie Fritz.
Yeah.
He's awesome. Yeah, those
Willie
guys
Fritz.
are all.
Yep.
Tell us in the chat, guys. If we didn't count Coach Riley, because we all have Coach Riley, who else would you guys put as Coach of the Year? Would you put Fritz?
Sonny Dykes.
Who?
Sonny Dykes.
Yeah.
Sonny Dykes.
Fritz. Yep.
Sonny Dykes has done more with less.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Tennessee's
think
coach did
agree.
very well this year too. Remember they played.
He did, but you know, I love Josh Heupel, and I've loved Josh Heupel since he was a quarterback at OU. But I think he's also kind of in that USC category. People are like, they don't feel that bad for Tennessee. You know, enough to give us a Heisman. Let's see, we got a lot of people. Sonny Dykes, Brian, Sid. Will has an answer for you. Or Will Sid has an answer for you. What do you think of that suggestion?
Well, I think he lost to even a worse team than Notre Dame lost to. So.
Huskies.
Yeah.
Sid, do you love being able to tease Will? What else have we got? Michigan, because they went 12-0. Yeah, guys. So, guys, I want to tell you. So, I grew up in the state of Michigan. I grew up going to Ann Arbor. Don't tell my mother. Ann Arbor was the first place I ever got. No. Yeah, one of the first places I ever got really drunk, and South Bend as well. But a special tribute from high school me in Ann Arbor. It's great to be a Michigan Wolverine. It's great to be a Michigan Wolverine.
Oh,
you guys,
Tony.
They look good today. Go blue. Coach Carr is a friend of our family. We love Michigan. Jim Mora Jr. Yeah. Actually, 66 Lucky Dude brings up somebody else we didn't bring up. Talk about rescuing a team from the depths of terribleness to awesome. Jim Moore Jr. Paul K says barf. Sorry, Paul. Sorry. Hey, another thing, guys, to talk about. We got some new coaches in the Pac-12. Reports are Kenny Dillingham, Oregon offensive coordinator. Guys, this guy is a crazy cool story. He was started high school coaching as a freshman at Arizona State. Rose to become one of the most prominent high school coaches in the state of Arizona. While a student at Arizona State, and is today one of the youngest coaches around. Supposedly his alma mater. He never coached at Arizona State, but his alma mater's hired him. He is going to be the new coach at Arizona State, and just kind of an exciting story. Hey, let's welcome friend of the show, Gixxer Squid. Gixxer.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, first of all, thank you for texting me the pictures during the game. That was awesome.
Hey, no problem. You know what? I just texted you some other pictures. I came home. I'm celebrating. I'm drinking my Angry Bastard, and I just put my Steve Smith Rose Bowl pants on because I'm telling you what, we're going to the college football championship.
That's awesome. The Steve Smith Rose Bowl pants.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
That wins the day. That wins the day today.
Hey, trust but verify, my friend.
I like it. I believe you. Guys, I'm looking at pictures right now here. I like it. You win. If I could move them over to my computer fast enough, I'd put them up for everybody. That's awesome.
But no, phenomenal game. Loved it. It was competitive. Coliseum was super full. The energy. It was just great. I kept looking for LBC, but then I realized they didn't sell Angry Bastard at the stadium, so I kept getting Stone IPA. But no, it was phenomenal. Loved it.
Gixer.
Yes.
I tweeted it out. I need a little help, but I want Arrogant Bastard to be served in the Coliseum next year. I am on a mission. You know, they need to. Their Stone is a Coliseum sponsor, and you know, now that if we have the opportunity to go to the college football playoff, the Arrogant Bastards are back, and they need to serve that, and we'll get that done, Gixer. I hear you're going to the Pac-12 championship game. Did I hear that correctly?
Well, if you have the code, you and everyone who's listening can get in.
Well, we're gonna have to hook up because I'm gonna be in Vegas, man, and I'll bring some Arrogant Bastard.
Hey, jokes aside, for all the locals here in LA, Stone has the weirdest bathrooms. I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about, but anyway,
yes, I do.
I'll leave it at that. But no, phenomenal game. It was great to see Gentry out there. Dye was on the cart before the game, kind of wheeling around, and then when they did the senior special, it was really kind of emotional to see him out there on crutches. But no, it was just a great game, great environment. I think it was the fullest I've ever seen it, and absolutely loved it.
And just another update, guys. Right before halftime, we're at Washington 28, Wazoo 24. So if Washington wins, we will play Utah.
Hey, real quick. I know we've criticized the special teams for this all year, but I will give Lika this. I think this was very smart. I want to get you guys' takes on this. I think Notre Dame's blocked 7 or 8 punts this year, and we went to the pooch punt 3 times, I think, to negate that. What did you guys think of that game plan instead of line up in an actual punt formation?
I can tell you what I thought of it. Notre Dame's special teams are outstanding. Notre Dame blocks punts like crazy. So I thought that it was absolutely a brilliant way to neutralize Notre Dame's phenomenal special teams.
Not only that, but after he gets the Heisman, I think that he's going to circle back and get the Ray Guy Award for that 60-yard punt he laid off on the Irish. So, I mean, you know, how many Heisman hopefuls have a 60-yard punt in their resume this year, right? What else does the guy have to do to win the Heisman?
Johnny be good.
Yeah, that 60-yard punt was something else.
Absolutely awesome.
He nailed it. And we didn't even have a regular. Did we have a regular punt tonight at all?
Nope.
Not one. Our punter did not come on the field tonight, I didn't think. So, yeah, that was something else. The USC punting game was fabulous. Yeah, guys, I thought, you know, USC was well prepared for Notre Dame. Will, what did you think of the pooch punts?
I was hoping we would block one and we didn't. It worked. It was a good idea. Yeah.
We did dodge a bullet. I don't know if you saw on the broadcast, Tony, the last one he had where the Notre Dame guy actually caught it. He didn't fair catch that, so he could have ran. And there was nobody on that side.
I wondered about that. Do you think? I wondered though, and I didn't. And forgive me, guys, because I was kind of getting calls and stuff right then, so I may have been wrong in this. I wondered if maybe he waved like before the camera got over to him or something.
No, he did wave. Hold on, guys. Whoa, he did completely wave for the fair catch.
Did he?
Okay.
I know they showed on a broadcast, and they even like broke it down how it was just offensive lineman on that side of the field, and he could have ran.
He waved for the fair catch.
Okay, because I think he waved before the camera like got over to him. That was what I was guessing. I could be wrong. If anybody was in the stadium,
Gotcha.
Will or Tim, you saw it.
Oh yeah.
And Tim, you're with us now. Real quick, Tim, give us your opinion on. Tell us about the stadium. What was it like to be there as the Shillelagh came home?
This was the first game all year where it felt like a rocking Coliseum. The crowd was loud. There were a fair amount of Irish, but they were quiet for most of the game, really. They had a couple chances to score on touchdowns. But even then, even on their drives, the Irish are so quiet. They were just like, they just kind of knew. They were, you know, there was a lot of chanting. They were just kind of laying back in their seats. Look at Will. Will, were you there? I was there. And they got a little bit loud when they scored a touchdown. But other than that, they had a couple moments. But it was just a feeling that once USC went up, especially when they went up 17, it just looked like it was just going to go back and forth 10, 17, 10, 17. The game really wasn't in doubt until all of a sudden the refs decided to start calling holding penalties, which they hadn't done all games. They were holding on both sides the whole game. All of a sudden, on a drive where USC is going to put it away, they start calling holding penalties. And they threw one in just for good measure at the very end of the game to kind of bounce it out against Notre Dame. But they were holding. If they were going to call holding, they could have called holding on both teams on multiple plays, but they didn't. And then all of a sudden, on a crucial drive, all of a sudden they start throwing two holding penalties on the same set of downs. It was a bit weird.
Speaking of penalties, question for you, Tim. Should we be scolding Dante Williams because that he had a wide receiver that just had a pass interference penalty, number 13? Did you guys see that? Our number 13.
Are you talking about the Caleb Williams one?
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Yes.
Well, I was that was
when Caleb Williams got a pass interference penalty.
That play really kind of pissed me off. It was almost like we were trying to do some highlights for the Heisman. That's what it felt like to me. I mean, I know the first half was full of trick plays, but we had the ball inside the 5. Just run the damn ball. Especially the way Austin Jones is running and Ray Leak outside. They got a little bit too cute on that, I thought, and it cost them, right? So
they did. We did. We got too cute on that.
Tim, you're not a fan of the Philly special?
What? I'm not an NFL guy.
In the Super Bowl, the Philadelphia Eagles went for it on 4th and goal, and they ran that exact play, and a bunch of teams have been using that play. It was a key point in the Super Bowl they won against the Patriots, was that play.
What is this? Is this an end around that goes? Is an end around that goes to a throwback to the quarterback?
Yep.
Because USC did that in 2003 Rose Bowl. Matt Leinart was a recipient. I was there in the corner of the end zone. Exact same
but
thing.
since it was
Mike
done
Williams.
in the Super Bowl, and it dwarfs any and all things football related.
I'm just saying, what was the Philly? Was the Philly special? Was it in before the 2003 Rose Bowl? Because if not,
No,
we should probably
it was
call
more
it
recently.
Well, then,
The Leinart special, and as friend of the show tight end delay points out, Leinart made it look easy.
Leinart walked in, yeah. The Mike Williams throw, left-handed quarterback. It was beautiful. The wonderful thing to see against the Wolverines.
I love USC's delayed reverses that they I know they've done this many times throughout the year. They used to do it with Travis Dye a lot, but the delayed reverse where we give to Austin and he kind of bounces downside and then a super late pitch to the receiver. I mean, I don't know how you defend that.
It's hard.
I'm a little late to the party.
It's especially hard when that involves Jordan Addison.
I'm a little late to the party, but I hope you guys have been talking about Heisman talk. Has anyone talked about Heisman talk yet?
All night.
Yeah, because this one you might as well just wrap this thing up. I'm sorry, I'm hearing about I've been saying his name all night. The TCU quarterback.
Yeah,
that guy.
And Tim, real quick, and we talked about this a little bit. I just want to Dale White pointed this out too, and I want to point this out again. We're really celebrating USC tonight, guys. I thought Notre Dame played really well.
Yeah, I thought Drew Pine specifically played really well tonight.
What did Drew Pine miss? 2 passes?
3.
He was like 11 for 11 at one point, I think, and then he missed a pass.
15 for 15.
Drew Pine was awesome.
Yeah, he went 15 for 15 and then missed his first pass.
I'll tell you what, though, and also that guy's going to be getting an ice bath tonight, and then he'll be in the whirlpool all week because that dude stood in the pocket,
got killed.
And did a great job getting rid of the ball. I mean, he took some serious hits, and he knew he was getting. You got to take your hat off to any quarterback that sees a guy coming right at him. On one play is a safety blitz, and it's coming right up the gut. And he sees him. He hung in there and made a great long pass on 3rd down. I think it was 3rd down. Great play.
I think Notre Dame's
he
down.
definitely exceeded what I thought he could do.
Yeah, Notre Dame's downfall. I'm just looking at the team stats. They had 3.5 yards rush, average yard per rush. I mean, that I don't know. You can tell me how many games they would have won this year doing that.
Well, I think it's about time people start giving USC's defense some credit because now it's back-to-back weeks where we heard that the team's going to run the ball down our throat, and we decided to stop the run. We were able to do it.
Yeah.
I was joking. I was joking.
By the
with
way,
you guys
Tim,
saying that Boo needs to wanted to see some defense. Hey, Boo, how did that look? Was that 4th down stop? How was that? Was that some defense for you?
Tim, what about the team? What about the team down in the banner right now? What do you think about them? Because I understand they played some good defense. Or
LS
oh wait,
who?
no, they didn't.
LS who?
Exactly.
Tony, all I can smell is corn dogs. All I can smell is corn dogs, Tony.
Just a bunch of corn dogs.
I said they were pretenders, and they're pretenders. I've been saying it. I said it earlier. I'm saying it now. They're not a good team.
And Alan points out, if Pine doesn't play the game of his life, SC romps. Alan, I think you're totally right. You're absolutely 100% right on that.
Hey, at least Will and D's got that right. You know, Notre Dame lost tonight, but those Bayou Bengals and Brian Kelly, they got exposed down at Jimbo. The jambalaya wasn't flowing with Jimbo tonight in College Station. There you go, man.
I just hope that
etouffee. Yeah,
Rick. I just hope his family wasn't there to watch that, because his family might be a little bit upset. So,
oh man, you couldn't even have scripted this better. You couldn't say that LSU was going to lose to Texas A&M, because nobody would have believed you, right? Nobody. But yeah, I can't wait to hear good old Boo. We'll see what Boo has to say on Tuesday night with his good old buddies who don't understand our defense. Like I said earlier when you were the beginning of the show, I want to hear the comments about that defense being played in Columbus, giving up 5 touchdowns, 3 passes, and 2 rushing, over 45 yards a clip. That is
what really struck me in that game was
Columbus.
What struck me was the explosives that Knowles defense gave up. There must have been 6 plays of over 50 yards in that game. I don't think I'm exaggerating. I think there were 6 plays of 50+ yards.
Yeah, no, there's 5
or something like that.
They put a graphic up there. They put a graphic up. 3 touchdowns of greater than 45 yards each. That has never been accomplished in that rivalry. Okay, that was just
more than that.
And then, well, no, just the passes, and then the running.
That run.
And hey guys, real quick, Tim, you're back with us. Tim, we haven't talked to you. I just saw we've got a friend of the show, Clint Moses, in the chat from Oregon State. Clint, how about those Beavs? The Pac-12 and the terrible refs tried to screw you guys like nothing I've ever seen. The Beavs fell way behind and came back with one of the most impressive comeback wins I've seen and I can even remember. So
yeah, and they didn't really have to throw the ball either, which was more impressive to me.
What did they throw? Like 5 passes or something silly like that? Do you know?
They completed 6.
They completed 6
all game. They only threw 13.
A lot of people forget
13.
What a lot of people forget is that offensive line, because I watched it in the Coliseum last year, and they're a year older. And the way that you would think with Johnson Smith as a quarterback, that'd be heavy pass. But what's impressed me with them last year and this year is the way they run the ball. And it's been Martinez has been probably, I said before, but probably the best unknown young running back that nobody knows in the country. He's amazing. And Fenwick, is it Fenwick or Fenwick? I can't remember his name. The other big guy, the big guy. That he had some great runs in that game. So I mean, the fact that they didn't throw the ball doesn't surprise me, really. They're a great running team, and I bet you it's not going to surprise many Trojans, but it'll probably surprise a lot of people around the country that USC rushed the ball for 200 yards in this game.
Yeah,
and we held Notre Dame under 100.
And Stanford, what's the score of the Stanford game? I'm a little behind. Stanford definitely missed an Austin Jones tonight, weren't they?
Yeah, it's 21-9, Brigham Young.
Yeah.
It's looking like BYU's going to score again.
Stanford is so bad.
And actually, we went for 204.
They're playing. Larry, can you describe the fan base they're playing in ways that it would be inappropriate for me to do so?
They're delusional in many respects, Saturdays and Sundays. We'll put it that way. There you go.
In all ways. In all ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're twisted. I don't know. Everybody knows Christopher Foote, right?
Well, you're not allowed to bring that up on this show. By the way.
We don't talk about that on
No
this
belt
show.
champions, no BYU 84. No,
Yeah, we don't
do
talk
that.
about 1984. We don't talk about the belt champions. We literally
Those
block
guys-
you for that.
Those guys are, I mean, the BYU fans are just, oh my gosh, they're horrible. And it didn't used to be that way. I mean, they were always horrible. But then when we beat them and Max Hall came out and he started saying that our fans were throwing beer on them. And it's like, we don't even sell beer in the stands. And I guarantee you, anybody sneaking a beer in ain't pouring it on those blue and white uniforms.
They're drinking it.
Rick would punch somebody in the face if he saw him pouring beer out like that.
Yeah.
So
beer is for drinking. Yeah, Utah, beer is for drinking, not pouring.
yeah, so they're a bunch of liars, and I don't know. I don't.
We saw that already this year once.
Yeah, they're not all of them. I can't say that about all of them.
I have a lot of wonderful friends who went there. I get credit for I find their policies abhorrent in a lot of ways, but I have a lot of friends who went there that are just awesome people and great fans, and Stanford is just bad. So I figured they would win.
Yeah,
I picked Stanford out of principle, but I figured I was throwing that one away.
I picked BYU to win just because I knew Stanford wasn't going to beat them.
They're that bad.
Max Hall, that quarterback they have, he's pretty good, and they've got a few decent receivers. So I figured they'd
Stanford.
win.
Well, what is the problem with Stanford right now?
They lost the power of the tree. They got rid of the tree. They lost their power.
They lost
now
their
they're
mojo.
just not the same team. They're not the same team anymore.
No, wait a minute. Wait, was the tree in South Bend?
No, but the spirit of the tree was the spirit.
It was before the tree. It was days before the tree got suspended.
Okay.
The tree got suspended immediately after the Notre Dame game, and that's when it all fell apart. Hey guys, Paul K says this. I think this is scary and very possible. Lincoln Riley has 4 weeks to prepare. Yeah, Georgia's not always been that impressive, but I'll tell you guys, if TCU goes down, I could think we could well see Michigan in Arizona.
I love the matchup with Michigan.
Matchup of USC versus Michigan in Arizona. Hey, Nostradamus, thank you for joining us in the chat tonight. We were glad to have you. Fight on. Yeah, what do you guys think about that potential? Again, we're not skipping ahead because we got Vegas to win. We got a tough game with Utah or Oregon still to play in Vegas. But if that went well, Phoenix against Michigan, that'd be a game to see. Exactly. Alan says we're not getting too far ahead of ourselves. We're just have a silent dream of that, guys. We don't want to get too far ahead. Alan's right.
Yeah, you probably need TCU to lose as well to be the 3 seed.
Yeah, they're going to beat. Kansas State will win that.
Well, Tony, you've been saying for a while.
Tony,
I have. Well, the real. Did you hear what happened with Cinderella and the ball?
What happened with Cinderella? Is she still dancing?
So it was about 11:45 at night. Cinderella had to leave the ball by midnight. She went in the bathroom. She bought a little baggie of pixie dust from some guy in the bathroom. So she's got a couple grams of pixie dust to keep that night going. And she's still there. It's like 6:30 in the morning. It's like she's at the after hours club now with the prince. So we'll see how this goes for her. She might stay out all night.
Yeah, possibly.
Hey, I'm giving all the credit in the world to TCU because they've pulled a miracle, and we understand Lincoln Riley's parents will probably be at both games, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So what was this talk? I heard you guys talking about the just before I was getting on. You guys were talking about the coach of the year. I'm hearing Sonny Dykes, and someone even threw out Jim Mora. Well, what are we talking about here?
I asked the question, Tim, if Lincoln Riley should be considered for coach of the year.
My question is, why are we even asking that at this point?
I mean, I think you're right. I just don't think USC. I think we're too. I don't think Blue Bloods ever get enough credit for when their coaches deserve it.
Well, we were a blue blood, but we were a destitute, thrown out in the streets,
4-8
manner blue blood,
homeless.
right? And this guy Prince Riley walks up and restores the house because it was a complete disaster. We were 4-8. People were laughing at USC this time. People were laughing at USC beginning of this year. There were a number of people laughing that we might go 6-6 if we're lucky. Okay, so the fact that he walked in the door, nobody has ever orchestrated a 1-year turnaround like this. It took Pete a year, and we thought that was amazing. What he did after we had that guy, Hackett, we don't want to talk about him. But
that didn't happen.
It just 1 year, we went from 6-6 to that Orange Bowl victory with Carson Palmer and a Heisman Trophy. And I thought that was a fast turnaround. Now we're talking about just in one season going from the laughing stock. I mean, the Pac-12 was laughing at us. Of all teams are laughing at us. And enter Lincoln Riley, and with it's just been barely 1 calendar year. It's 1 calendar year, and this guy has taken us to the conference championship game, most likely to the playoffs if we can win that game. And I'm sorry, Sonny Dykes, Jim Mora, anybody out there wants to say that I'm the coach of the year, you guys got to get in line. That's pretty bad.
Maybe.
Yeah. No, you're very good point.
What's up, Rick?
What's up, Tim?
We got LBC at home.
Yes, just got home. Sorry, my phone died. So I think I came in, Tim. You're talking about Lincoln Riley, Coach of the Year. I think, he can get some consideration because what he did and what he had to do to basically fully align this school. And you saw it in the culmination today with the sellout crowd. What he did was pretty amazing. I loved his play calling at the beginning of the game. Was very esoteric. He just threw stuff at Notre Dame, had no clue what was going on, and we had just an embarrassment of riches. And he worked from day one getting players from the portal. He got the coaching staff. He made so many improvements behind the scenes. It's ridiculous. And for him to get the team to this point at 11-1, it's remarkable.
It is. He's amazing. Hey guys, Nate Corwin wants us to calm down. Riley is not God, but he might be Jesus. So that's fair. It's fair.
He beat touchdown Jesus tonight. I'll tell you that.
He beat touchdown Jesus. He's a new God.
Well, I'm not flipping to the blasphemy side of things, but I will tell you this:
Tim's a good product of Catholic school.
God, but he's about as good as a mortal can get. Let's put it that way, okay? And what he did, I can't argue, anything other than the fact that he made a couple bad calls all year. Other than that, this man's been literally perfect. I mean, the list of recruits that were there licking their chops watching this game. We're talking 5-star guys that he's going to close on this year. I think the other day someone was talking about USC being 13th or 12th. You don't win a recruiting championship in November. It's in December and then all the way into February. A lot of these guys will be waiting till February as well. So what Lincoln Riley is doing and what he's going to do in the portal you're going to see all these guys scream again. It's illegal. They must be cheating. All the bullshit these guys always say about USC. Well, guess what, you chicken bastards? We're coming back. And I wouldn't say we're back yet, but yeah, if you're scared, you should be, because we're not going to mess around.
Hey, tight end delay has corrected us, just so we don't have any blasphemy, no questions blasphemy. Riley is a god, not the god.
Good call.
He's quoting Ghostbusters there.
Yeah, I know.
Comparisons. I know comparisons were made with Caleb Williams and Carson Palmer. Lincoln Riley's first November in LA, 4-0, just like Pete Carroll, 4-0. Together, all along, Lincoln Riley, Oklahoma, and USC. In November, Lincoln Riley is 16-2. Okay, that gets it done. So
it's almost Pete Carroll status.
Right. If you want to be remembered, you got to win in November. And he did it. He went 4-0. And now we're going to Vegas. Tim, are you going to go to Vegas? Come on, man. Jay's going to be there.
I'm going to try. I talked to you about earlier this week.
I love it, man.
I will make the effort.
I love it. Will, are you going to come out to Vegas? Come on, man. I know you're on the Trojan bandwagon now.
Get out of here, Rick. I love you, but tonight's not the night.
Okay,
Will,
I
do you
know.
even know what a conference championship is? A conference championship game, or what a conference
didn't go to
championship
one.
is?
I mean, we lost, but we
They
didn't
did
go
their
to one.
0-1, but they gave it a go.
Oh,
Hey, Rick,
Yes, sir.
when
Yes, sir.
when did you buy your tickets? Because I'm gonna call out. It's gonna be unfair if Utah does make it. You know, our fans are sitting there waiting on the keyboard tonight. They're not booking anything. You guys have had a week.
I bought the tickets on speculation 3 weeks ago.
Okay, all right. I'll give you a pass, but anyway.
And I booked a hotel when I was in Vegas last weekend on Sunday. We booked the hotel, we booked the airfare, so we're all good to go.
I'm kind of bummed out. Do they just give them all the Ticketmaster, or the fact that you can, or there's an allotment for both schools that go to the game? I don't know how that works.
Through Ticketmaster. I didn't go through the Cardinal Gold, through the season ticket holder avenue. I just bought them ahead of time, like anybody can do on Ticketmaster.
Hey, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is USC's first Pac-12 conference championship game since they started it at 11.
Our second, I think.
Second. I know we.
Or no, it's our third, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's our third.
We won in 2016, and that's when we played in the Rose Bowl in 2017. And then in the COVID year, we played Oregon at the Coliseum in front of no fans, and we lost. Yeah.
And we should have gone.
Hold on. Was our COVID year team the worst undefeated team in the history of football?
Yes.
And then we should have that worst team was 5-0. But
I know that's my point. The worst undefeated team in the history of football.
We also should have gone in 2011. I think it was 2011. We had a sanction year.
We were on probation.
Yeah. And UCLA went. UCLA went. That was a joke.
UCLA with a losing record went. I mean, that was just a joke. So this should be our fourth.
Was that when Ed Ogeron came in and kind of saved the day?
No. 2011?
Yeah.
No, that was under Kiffin.
Oh, Kiffin. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That was the 50-0 game.
That was Kiffin. That season, that team was great. That's before the sanctions really started hitting our defensive line, our offensive line bad.
Speaking of Kiffin, isn't it kind of funny how the Ole Miss fans were loving him, the portal king and all that, and in the course of like 5 days on Twitter, they hate Lane Kiffin. They're blaming him, for losing to Mississippi State. It's like, you know what? You guys are spoiled because you can't get anything better than that. And Darrell, you could probably comment on that, but come on, you're Ole Miss. I mean, come on, you're a 50-year-old Ole Miss in a dress. You got to put lipstick on that pig. Lane Kiffin came in, give you a new dress, put lipstick on the pig, and now you're complaining? Come on.
Yeah, for Ole Miss, this is probably the most relevant they've been outside of the Hugh Freeze years since the 60s.
Right. There you go. That's 60 years. Exactly. That Ole Miss is 60 years old.
So you cherish, as a Kentucky fan, cherish the coach you have. Cherish him, hold him on, give him all the money he wants.
They're those Eli man.
He doesn't leave.
Hold on. Let's give some credit, by the way, while we got Darrell here. Let's give some credit to Kentucky today for a nice win and for a coach who doesn't just immediately start losing as soon as you sign him to an extension.
That's right.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it is that. You guys deserve it.
Yeah, he reminds me a lot of his brothers and Kirk Ferentz at Iowa. Dave Aranda, what I think he is at Baylor. So he's a little bit better.
He's better than his brother Mike, let's put it that way. Okay.
Yeah. Mike works for Mark.
Oof, really?
Yeah. He's on the coaching staff for UK.
He's not your defensive coordinator, is he?
No, he's not defensive coordinator.
Okay, thank God. Okay.
And by the way, UC Regent Gumby, welcome to the chat, friend of the show.
Gumby.
We love you. Nice game for the Bears. They played pretty strong yesterday.
Yeah, Tim, LBC, I asked Tony this question earlier. Who do you want USC to play in the Pac-12 title game?
Bring them on. I don't care.
Doesn't matter. We're ready. We have a good reason to beat either one, and we look forward to the challenge. And it's going to be exciting, man. It's going to be exciting. And if it is Oregon, we'll just remind them that they backdoored it into it. They pulled a UCLA move and they backdoored into the championship game. And don't think I won't forget it.
Yeah, either Rick's right. Either we get to quiet the quacks,
Yeah,
or we get to try to avenge our loss to Utah. So either way, I'm happy with either one.
Yep.
Actually,
exactly.
Sid points out, I think this is a good point.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Sid is one of our wise fans who always helps us be smarter. We want the higher ranked team, Utah, if they win.
You know what, guys? I honestly, after the way we played tonight, I don't think it matters who we play. We're going. We're in. We're in.
If we win.
LSU lost.
Tim, anything can happen, okay?
Yeah, right. Anything
Don't
can happen.
overlook it.
And especially Kevin Warren today. Kevin Warren, guys. So you guys laughed. People laughed at me. I've been saying for a while, those of you guys who are familiar with the Voice College Football channel, the feuding between two of Mark's biggest fan bases are Michigan and Ohio State. Again, I'm from Michigan. You heard me do the "It's great to be a Michigan Wolverine" chant, but like it has just been exasperating with the back and forth against each other in all of the chats and all of Mark's shows. And Daryl, I don't know if you heard me say this. I don't know if you were watching the show when I was talking about this. I said, unlike the SEC, these fans are not smart enough to realize they need to start whining in advance so that they're making the case in advance for both of them to go.
Is that a thank you? Should I give you a thank you for that?
No,
That's
I'm
a
saying smart. Yeah,
compliment.
That is no, it's a compliment. Like the SEC fans are way more strategic about being smart enough to like start the whining and complaining and all that like early before somebody loses, so that they're ready to be able to make the case when it happens.
Tony, I'm sure you'll appreciate this. I called Mark's show earlier, and I slid in the possibility that a two-loss team might make the college football playoff.
Bama?
I slid that in there. I'm not saying which ones it is because but I'm
Bama.
sliding that in there.
Bama might still. Hey guys, we are right now joined by the star. We've got Matt Zemek from Trojans Wire. Matt, this is a glorious night for the Trojans. Folks are drinking LBC's official beer, unsponsored official beer, Arrogant Bastard Ale, in a big celebration. And USC has brought the Shillelagh home. We've brought the Victory Bell home. And as far as we can tell by the transitive property, we are the ACC champions.
Oh, and Tony, you will be. I couldn't snap a picture of it, but the Trojan Knights were bringing the Victory Bell through the campus,
the tailgate.
right in front of Boulevard, in front of the tailgate, and it was painted a beautiful cardinal color. They've already got it all painted up. So
for anybody who doesn't know, I was a Trojan Knight, so I somewhere in a box, I think in New York, I have my like sweater and my little shirt and everything.
And Matt, if you could bear with me one more second. You guys have the kiss cam at baseball games. They always have the college football games, right? Well, they got to the very end for the kiss cam. They showed all the Trojan Knights, and all of them kissed the Victory Bell. It was
the Victory Bell.
Great.
That's right.
Oh, fantastic, Matt. And hey, guys, we got a bunch of folks. Daryl, Desmond, and Larry. Well, we've got Matt. I'm going to move you guys to the back room. If you want to come back in, just message in the private chat. We can bring you back in. We just got to make a little room on the screen here. Matt, what did you guys think of the game tonight?
Well, echoes of 2002, right?
Right.
So much like 2002, 20 years ago. And, USC moving through the wilderness of the Paul Hackett years. And then along comes Pete Carroll, along comes Carson Palmer. And on a late November night in Los Angeles against the Irish, a USC quarterback puts the stamp on a Heisman Trophy season. So we saw it in 2002, and we see it now 20 years later. History repeats itself. And, of course, so Paul Hackett then, Clay Helton now, Pete Carroll then, Lincoln Riley now. Just the parallels are all out there for USC. And, of course, in 2002, USC didn't make the BCS National Championship game, went to the Orange Bowl and to Miami and dump trucked Iowa. But, and Tony, you did say it. And if Garrett Riley can lose one game with TCU to Kansas State, that opens the door for USC to play Michigan in the Fiesta Bowl instead of playing Georgia in the Peach Bowl. Now you know me throughout the season, like it's don't hype the playoff, don't hype the playoff. I mean, and obviously it's going to be there all this week leading up to Friday night in Las Vegas. But the simple thing for USC is, hey, playing Friday night might actually be an advantage in the sense that you're not competing with the other games on Saturday. So you get the Friday game out of the way. So like in terms of how Trojans Wire is going to cover the coming week, it's, hey, let's take care of this game on Friday, and then Saturday we can deal with scenarios if the Trojans are able to win. Like Saturday, December 3rd, we can talk scenarios all day long. The only scenario that counts is winning Friday in Las Vegas. But in terms of the Heisman, this is pretty much over. And the two key points to make about why this Heisman race is over. One is CJ Stroud didn't just play, ordinary. He failed to meet the moment. Didn't just do that. He doesn't get a game next week as a result. So he loses that spotlight. And Tony, I did hear you say it, and you're accurate. Just as long as Caleb Williams plays reasonably well, just as long as it's not some crazy horror show on November 2nd, and it's pretty unlikely. That should be enough. The other point is we've seen CJ Stroud and Caleb Williams both go up against Notre Dame this season. Now, of course, Stroud was doing it in week 1, so like you don't have games under your belt, and it is a different deal. That said, you still play the games, and we saw next level performances from Caleb Williams, next level plays all the way through. Now, Stroud did make the difference against Notre Dame in week 1. He did make some highlight reel plays. He made some plays to separate the Buckeyes from the Irish, but you did not have the Notre Dame offense playing well as it did tonight. Notre Dame's offense was a dumpster fire against Ohio State. And so 21 points for Ohio State. When Stroud went up against Notre Dame, Caleb Williams puts up 38. First offense to put up 400 or more yards against the Fighting Irish all season. So Stroud not having a game next week, no Big Ten title game, and Caleb Williams just setting the bar a lot higher than Stroud did against Notre Dame in 2 national TV showcases. I mean, I just don't see a path for Stroud other than Caleb Williams just absolutely having the worst possible performance imaginable on Friday. And listening to the Utah analysts talk about, no Van Fillinger on the Utes front 4, like if it is Utah, like that's a key loss. And then, hey, Oregon allowed 4 touchdowns in a 10-minute span to Oregon State today. Oregon State completed 0 passes, gained 0 yards in those 10 minutes in which it scored the 4 touchdowns, which completed that comeback from a 31-10 deficit. I'm feeling kind of good about USC going up against that Oregon defense. So the idea that Caleb Williams is going to play poorly in Vegas, I mean, where's that going to happen? How's that going to happen? If we substituted Utah's defense for Oregon State's defense or Washington State's defense, maybe, although the Apple Cup's a shootout right now, maybe it's a little bit different, but really, like Caleb Williams has 1.5 hands on the Heisman, and just only an apocalyptic series of events is going to prevent that. So just like Carson Palmer 20 years ago, some very happy memories for USC football fans tonight.
And Matt, we were talking a little bit ago just about how absolutely deja vu this is from 2002, like the early season up and down through the snowballing effect of UCLA and then Notre Dame and then Heisman.
The piggyback on Matt's comments, they were doing a lot of talk on the radio show as well as in the stadium that right now we've had some pretty good quarterbacks. As a matter of fact, we have 2 Heisman winners, that were put some pretty great numbers. But Caleb Williams tonight became the single season leader in touchdowns by a USC quarterback, and he's 180 yards away. What a great showcase next Friday. He's 180 yards away from beating Matt Barkley, I believe. Oh no, it's Darnold. Beating Darnold for the most yards in a season by USC quarterback. So when they announced those kind of numbers on a not national, but for the Pac-12 game, that's also going to give a little bit of a boost.
No question. And also, the fact that this game is a standalone game on late Friday, again, not going up against other games on Saturday. So Caleb has the stage all to himself on Friday.
Yeah. I like this. Yeah, Alan points out again, Fowler and Herbie were saying Caleb looked like he had a joystick in his hand playing a video game tonight. Can I tell you guys a funny story real quick about 2002? So I was living in Washington, and every year in Washington, they have a party for USC where all in one of the huge ballrooms, usually one of the Senate ballrooms of, I forget which building, the Russell building in the big room there, where they have like the January 6th hearings or whatever. And it was always hosted by all the Senator Feinstein, everybody like that. And so they had this, everyone was just so excited about USC. Everyone who came to this party, they had a photographer there who would take these pictures of you with a life-size cardboard cutout of Carson Palmer. And my friend Ari and I were there, and we were kind of nervous. We walked up to Cindy McCain, who was standing there, who was I think she was a song girl, but she was a USC grad. And we said, Mrs. McCain, this is so silly. Will you take a picture with us in this ridiculous cardboard cutout of Carson Palmer? And Cindy McCain turns around, she goes, is that what that is over there? And we said, yeah. She goes, oh, absolutely. We have to do this. And she said, have you met John's mom? As in the former wife of the Commander-in-Chief, U.S. Pacific Fleet, Senior Mrs. McCain, who's famous in her own right. And we were like, no. She goes, oh, John's mom's also a Trojan. And Senator McCain turns around and he's like, oh, what's this picture? And Cindy turns to him and she goes, honey, this is a Trojan thing. You're fine. And so I treasure this picture of me and Ari with the two Mrs. McCain, Cindy McCain and the senior Mrs. McCain, and a life-size cardboard cutout of Carson Palmer.
Hilarious.
Anyway, so I feel like that's the kind of magical season we're on again. And there's going to be somebody that is going to take some kid in DC now is going to take a picture with the life-size cardboard cutout of Caleb Williams, and it'll probably be with USC alum and second gentleman Doug Emhoff. So we'll see. Anyway, sorry. Thank you guys for indulging my silly story. Matt, where do we go from here? What do we think about Matt, what do you think about Utah versus Oregon?
I mean, it's the rematch that USC fans want, absolutely. And the other thing, and I did hear this earlier on the show, is that Cam Rising is not as healthy now as he was for the game on October 15th. So that is a factor that would play into USC's favor. I think the other thing, as we watch the Apple Cup and see which team USC plays, is that Oregon had the epic collapse, and from watching college basketball, I'm tying this into college football. So I'm not going to get deep into the weeds with college basketball, but there's a point to be made. On Selection Sunday, NCAA tournament, and there's the team that shouldn't get in, right? Oh, come on, the other team should have gotten in. That team's not an 11 seed. And then you see that team do well, wins the first 4 game, and then gets on a run, goes to the Sweet 16. That could be the case with Oregon. You have this total letdown, and then you get a reprieve. You get an extra chance. And that could be fuel for Oregon. The Ducks are obviously crushed right now, but then it could be like, dying and then, somehow being resuscitated, having a near-death experience and then being brought back to life. It would be very interesting to see the psyche of the Oregon team. Now, it could go the other way that, hey, we really effed this up in the Civil War. And hey, if the police can arrest me for using Civil War, but they have to come to my home and arrest me and take me alive, I really don't care.
We've been calling it Civil War all week.
Yeah, great, as it should be. So Oregon could just be lamenting, we blew the Civil War. We lost to the Beavers. They have bragging rights for the next 52 weeks. Maybe Oregon's flat as a pancake, but I'm thinking if Oregon gets a chance to play another game after that total meltdown, the Ducks would be fired up, and that could really work in their favor. And Kenny Dillingham gets one last go round before he goes on to Tempe as Arizona State head coach, and it could be a rally around the flag moment for Oregon. So with Utah, though, USC would have like that extra little edge in terms of, hey, we want to settle the score. Hey, we want to make things right. And hey, Utes, you're not in Salt Lake City anymore. I think the psychology of the matchup works better for USC if it's against Utah compared to Oregon.
Yeah, and I just put up a thing here, guys, of there are 6 rivalry trophies in the Pac-12. Oh, I guess we should have put the Legends Cup. I didn't put the Legends Trophy in here with Notre Dame. That's all right. Sorry, Will. We should have had Stanford with the Legends Trophy. But Cal has the axe. Arizona took the Territorial Cup back home. That was kind of fun. Matt, speaking of Arizona and Arizona State and the Territorial Cup, Kenny Dillingham, an exciting hire, an amazing story. Do you think he's ready with the infrastructure that's necessary to run a program like that?
I'll say this. I can see it working. All right. I can see it working. Maybe he's the next Sean McVay. However, today against Oregon State, when Oregon got stopped on the 4th down at its own 29-yard line with the 3-point lead, I don't mind Dan Lanning being aggressive. Like, I'm a 4th down, go for it guy in general. But everyone in the stadium knew that was going to be a Bo Nix keeper. Everyone in the stadium knew that was going to be a Bo Nix keeper. Because let's remember, the 4th down that blew up for Oregon against Washington, Nix was out. They hand the ball off. Washington crashes down on the running back. So, you're thinking, okay, this time they're going to give it to Bo Nix. So if you're Kenny Dillingham, you can't be that predictable. And then on the goal line sequence, when Oregon was trying to retake the lead after Oregon State got the lead, 1st down run at the 5, fine. But then 2nd and 3rd down, you still continue to slam it up the gut. You don't use your speed on the outside. You get Bo Nix involved in the play. And so Oregon tried the 3 sledgehammer runs inside the 5. So on a 4th down, and I tweeted this out. I was covering the game, following the game like everybody else was. Well, okay, on 4th down after the 3 runs, this is going to be a Bo Nix rollout. I mean, so obvious. And of course, that was the play. So, Kenny Dillingham, if you were to create a series of plays which would tell me, he's kind of mentally checked out. He's kind of just going through the motions here. He really isn't giving it his best shot.
That's it.
That would be the sequence of plays. Like, you would draw it up exactly like that. So it's just going to be, it's one of those intrigues. And we see it all the time in coaching where the last game, or what could possibly be the last game at a particular stop, and you have half a foot out the door. The ultimate example being Gary Anderson of Wisconsin, having a foot out the door there, and going to Oregon State, and Wisconsin losing 59-0 to Ohio State as a 4-point favorite in the 2014 Big Ten championship game. So Kenny Dillingham had that same experience, and it's obviously going to raise a lot of questions about Arizona State. But we have to see what kind of defensive staff that he forms, like that when you are a coordinator on one side of the ball, the personnel you hire on the other side of the ball, that's going to say a lot about how he fares in Tempe. The other thing to note is that he and Bo Nix worked together at Auburn, so that marriage worked uniquely well, but because it was in a position to work uniquely well. If Dillingham had another quarterback other than Nix, another transfer other than Nix, would Oregon have done as well this season? Because I think that Nix went to Oregon precisely because he knew that Dillingham was there and he had a comfort level with him. So what happens when there's a new quarterback that Dillingham doesn't have as much familiarity with? Is it going to be that same magic? And let's remember that Dillingham went to Florida State with Mike Norvell, and that program didn't really take off. It was a lot better this season with Dillingham not there. So lots of questions, but he did get Nix to play really well this year, a lot better than I thought. So I have to give Dillingham a certain amount of respect, and I have to say that in terms of a whole body of work over 12 games, Dillingham exceeded my expectations. So I have to allow for the possibility that this could really work in Tempe, but there are some obvious questions such as the ones I just outlined, and certainly a few others as well.
Well, and can I tell you guys something that I think is that would worry me for Kenny Dillingham? One of the things that Lincoln Riley, people don't realize this about Lincoln Riley, is Lincoln Riley brought in an all-star team with him. Not the coaches that any of you guys have ever heard of. But let me tell you, Lincoln Riley has brought in Dave Emmerich, who is Mike Leach's general manager, director of personnel. He brought in Annie Hansen, who was his recruiting head at Oklahoma. And she is a world-class, like, professional recruiter and event planner. Like, those two things, she is like she would probably be a millionaire as a wedding planner if she wanted to be. Like, she is a world-class event planner and recruiter, like a corporate recruiter. She could fill investment banking jobs and make $1 zillion. So these are people he brought in. His director of football operations, Dr. Clark Stroud, was the dean of students at Oklahoma. Like the vice president of the school, the dean of students at Oklahoma, is the director of football operations. He's the guy you see next to Lincoln Riley all the time on the field. And to run the whole football program and deal with the conference and all that, we hired Ed Stewart. We stole him. He's the number 2 at the Big 12. Like, one of the guys in the running to be Big 12 commissioner. And we stole him to be our senior athletic director or assistant athletic director of football or whatever. So just the level of people that you have to bring in to run this, it's like running a corporation where you're bringing in your senior VPs and your big time executives. Lincoln Riley brought in a team unlike any other, and that is why we are 11-1 on our way to the Pac-12 championship. It's not just Alex Grinch and Lincoln Riley like, oh, let's do it. It's this team of all-star major executives who were not cheap for us to bring in either. And I worry that when you hire somebody like Kenny Dillingham, does he have that connection? Does he have that stuff? Or are we going to be relying on Ray Anderson to put it in place? Because
that's the other thing. Ray Anderson really shouldn't be there. But
no, Ray Anderson should have been gone.
Yep, long gone.
And Arizona State, because Arizona State has not owned up, like Tennessee, I don't know if the real MVP is watching this. Tennessee looked at its problems from the NCAA, owned up to them, fessed up to them, threw themselves at the NCAA's feet with some, what were they, Chipotle or Chick-fil-A bags of cash they gave some players and said, sorry, NCAA, we cheated. Arizona State flaunted every rule against the NCAA, and I think they're going to get hammered.
Yeah,
they deserve
we don't even have the sanctions yet, so that's the other thing. Yep,
they deserve to be hammered because they flaunted it at the NCAA.
Let's just briefly with Tennessee in terms of admitting what went wrong in the past and charting a different course. Tennessee, for ever since David Cutcliffe left Phil Fulmer's side, basically neglected teaching the passing game. Did not hire coaches who could teach the passing game. Derek Dooley certainly couldn't. Butch Jones certainly couldn't. Jeremy Pruitt definitely couldn't. And Tennessee finally went, you know what? This is modern football. Nick Saban doesn't like it, but he adjusted with the times. Alabama averaged 48.5 points per game in the 2020 season with Mac Jones and Devontae Smith winning the national championship, winning the Heisman Trophy. This is the modern world of football. We need to have an offense that can score. So Tennessee finally makes the adjustment, hires Josh Heupel, and this is what Tennessee gets. Tennessee's probably going to make a New Year's Six Bowl for the first time since the 2000 Fiesta Bowl against Nebraska. So yeah, Tennessee's definitely showing that it has learned, and Arizona State, you don't see that, not with Ray Anderson still in charge.
Yeah, and that was I really worry for Kenny Dillingham. Like, is he going to find he's in over his head? So we'll see.
And without the support structure and the professional athletic director, the professional administrative supports that he needs. Absolutely. That is.
I mean, because that's what Mike Bone. I mean, Mike Bone. I love Mike Bone, and I'll tell you, when Mike Bone came in to change things, he got rid of some people who are actually dear friends of mine for 20 years. Some people that are very special to me, and some people that are very special to USC. There are no more devoted Trojans than some of the people that he moved on. And that sucked, and that was hard. But like anybody who's been in a company, when a company's made change, like change sometimes has to happen. And I think we're seeing tonight the wonders of that change that has happened. But just a shout out to everybody in the entire USC athletic department. I mean, the media teams, you guys have seen the social media teams, the graphics teams. I mean, we stole Ohio State's like chief videographer. We've got, we are literally, they are loading up on some of the smartest creative arts and, video editing people and social media strategists and folks like that. And I mean, you guys are seeing it like with the Heisman campaign for Caleb. Brilliantly done. You guys, that wasn't somebody on like Instagram. It was like, you know what we should do? Let's Instagram about the Heisman for Caleb. No, they had templates built. I mean, just this whole social media strategy built and schemed and ready to roll out. Like, I'm so impressed by those folks. So, and we're chatting here with UC Regent Gumby, who we love UC Regent Gumby, in the chat, one of our friends of the show about, he says, the future belongs to those willing to make the moves to embrace it. And I agree with you. Sucks to see those smart enough, particularly in the Bay Area, not making the moves. I don't know if you guys saw, we're going to talk about this. We're going to do a special show. I think it's going to be on Monday, a special show with Mark Rogers talking about the UC Regents situation. And I thought that Chancellor, I love Chancellor Chris, but I thought she made a really kind of wistful ode to the past in her speech. And I thought that Martin Jarmond and Chancellor Block were looking to the future. And that's why they're going to the Big Ten. USC Football for Life makes the point. Actually, really quick, Gixer Squid asks, what happened to Boulevard Studios? Boulevard does all of the NIL stuff. But we've insourced all of the actual, I guess, or we've given the impression of insourcing. I don't know what's insourced and what's contracted, but USC is doing a lot of that stuff now. I shouldn't say that because again, I don't know who's a contractor, who's insourced, how that all that works. Real quick, you guys, USC Football for Life saying Gentry number 55. I'm kind of wondering if it might end up Tackett Curtis. Who knows? What do you guys think? Are we ready for a return of number 55?
Funny you mentioned that, Tony. I was talking with my friend Jay Miley on the way home, and that's who I think is a candidate for 55 if they're going to hand out that jersey. Yeah, Tackett Curtis. That guy is an amazing athlete, and he's just
I think he's Brian Cushing reincarnated.
He's a solid guy, and
he's cool. He's smart. He looks like Brian Cushing. They both have like 2005 Abercrombie abs. They're both they hit like a freight train truck hitting you. Real smart, cover the entire field. I mean, Tackett Curtis looks like a video game character when he hits people.
Gentlemen, I'm going to have to go ahead and leave the show. It's a beautiful night to be a Trojan. We have some friends that are over, and we're going to do a little celebrating.
LBC, fight on. Drink some arrogant bastard ale.
Matt, love you, man. It's been a great ride, and we still got the rest of the ride to go. Will and D, hey, man, you're a classy guy. I know this is not the night that you envisioned, but your team turned the corner. You had some big wins, and there's bright days ahead for Notre Dame. And glad to see your team is on solid footing with Marcus Freeman, despite some of the challenges at the beginning of the year. But USC is better when Notre Dame is better. So there'll be many more great games ahead for both teams. Good luck to Notre Dame the rest of the year, whatever bowl game you go to. And again, you're a classy guy, and you didn't have to come on tonight. You didn't. And there'd be other guys that would have bailed, and you've taken it. And congrats to your Notre Dame team. All right. Tim, Tony, Matt, everybody in the chat. Hey, thanks a lot for your time and tuning in. It's been a great show, and we will catch you in Vegas and this week on the Pac-12 show. We should have some fun, Tony.
There's going to be a special thing on the Pac-12 show tonight, guys. On Wednesday night on the Pac-12 show, you are going to get to see a very special. It's going to be a special segment called LBC Unplugged.
Ooh.
Yes, this is going to be good. So for all you that like
we've
my
never done anything like it. LBC Unplugged is going to be a very special episode of the
We're
Pac-12 show on Wednesday.
We're going to have some fun. All right, gentlemen. Fight on.
Thanks, Nick.
Fight on, LBC. And hey, everybody in the chat, can we give a shout out to Will ND, who is a friend of the show, one of the smartest people on YouTube about college football. Absolutely brilliant. Great guy. One of the kindest people you'll ever meet in your life. And devout Notre Dame fan, having a rough night and is here hanging out with us. Will ND, you are awesome. Your team looks great. Matt, tell me about. Let's talk for just a minute about Notre Dame. I thought Notre Dame looked great tonight.
I mean, Notre Dame played a good football game. Like, it's not as though this was about what Notre Dame did wrong. It was about what Caleb Williams did well. I mean, that's the story. Like, against other opponents, other quarterbacks, Notre Dame, this is a winning performance from Notre Dame. But Caleb Williams has that extra something special that most players didn't have. But, like, the Notre Dame pass rush was for real. USC has a really good offensive line, and it really met its match tonight with Notre Dame. Like, that front four bothered the USC offensive line, provided an extra special physical challenge. Not that the USC offensive line was bad. It wasn't. Like, it certainly held up well, certainly run blocked well too. But, like, Notre Dame made its share of plays. Like, this felt like a game where, both sides, they both made their share of plays, and it was going to come down to, things such as turnovers. And really the two turnovers were ultimately the difference. So those were two crushers. They some turnovers are just like, it's a 3rd and 15 arm punt from midfield. So you throw a long ball interception that's pinned inside the 10. That's not really a high value turnover. But Notre Dame's two turnovers were high value. Cost Notre Dame 7 at one end, and then led to USC scoring 7 at the other end to put the nail in the coffin. You take away those two turnovers, like, this is an even game, and Notre Dame really brought it to USC, and USC felt the force, the impact, the heft from the other side of the line of scrimmage. So, Notre Dame should not feel disappointed in the score, but certainly not in the way it played, certainly not in its effort, absolutely. And so, given where this team was after the Stanford game, like, it's night and day different. And so Notre Dame gets to go into the offseason feeling, hey, all right, we took our punches in year one under Marcus Freeman, but we found our footing. We're on the right track. We're going to get this thing rolling. From that vantage point, because it was reasonable to think after the Stanford game, what has Marcus Freeman got himself into? Is this thing going to go completely off the rails? And that did not happen. Notre Dame stabilized, and it should feel that it has the right guy as the head coach moving forward into year 2.
Yeah.
And sorry, go ahead, Will.
I do love, I gotta admit, like, even when you're playing against another team away, I love it when there's just the crowd so loud, and the Coliseum really was loud. Like,
and how about credit to, so some of you guys don't know this, and I almost went to Notre Dame. You guys heard me say that before, but the what is it, the Notre Dame Alumni Club of LA, or whatever the official title is, who actually are the folks who bought the shillelagh. I give them so much credit, because some of you guys don't know this. USC and Notre Dame have a very special relationship where they actually give each other way more seats than they do to any other away team. There's whole sections of Notre Dame Stadium that are given to USC, and sections of the Coliseum that are given to Notre Dame, and they both fill it, and they both bring the energy to each other. And I thought that and this is, I'm watching on TV, but having been there, and again, I used to be on what's called the game management committee, where we actually sort of ran all the stuff on campus associated with the game. And I know that Notre Dame brings the excitement and brings the energy. And I thought that they helped turn it up for that game. And there was something that USC fans had to equal. And that probably played a huge role in all the excitement tonight. Tim was there, actually. Tim, how were the Irish fans tonight? Maybe early in the game. Oh, Tim, you're on mute.
Very quiet most of the game. And you know what I do miss? I miss when they used to bring over the Notre Dame high school band to play, because for some reason they never bring their own band. Yeah, USC seems to bring their band. So I don't know how
they did. They used to rent the Notre Dame high school band.
So Tony, I don't know how much they're bringing it. Actually, to be honest with you, I think there's a lot of alumni in the LA area that show up to the game, and they were quiet. I'll say it right now. They weren't a factor in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I was at the Clemson game, and the Clemson fans, they were loud at the beginning, but they got quiet. I'm sure the Irish fans were the same.
But it was the actual Notre Dame band there tonight, wasn't it? They bring their real band now, don't they?
No, their band wasn't there.
Notre Dame band was not there?
No, I don't think I don't think the Notre Dame bands ever come to the Coliseum.
They have before.
Matt, they have?
Yeah, I know that they have before. I can tell you that. And then other times they rented the Notre Dame high school band. I'm surprised they didn't have anybody. I thought I heard a band. No?
Well, you
could be wrong. Who was at the game? Somebody. Gixxer Squid. Somebody was at the game.
The only band that was at the game, Tony, was a Trojan marching band.
Okay.
Just
okay.
while we're talking about quiet fans at the start of the game, worth inserting this little point that, against UCLA, a team, that's not nearly as disciplined or airtight as Notre Dame, a team that's not nearly as physical as Notre Dame, USC could get into a hole early, dig its way out. The Bruins were going to throw USC a lifeline at some point. Doesn't mean that the Trojans were guaranteed to take advantage, but, it was likely that UCLA was going to play a sloppier, more uneven game compared to Notre Dame's physical consistency and toughness at the line of scrimmage. So it was crucial tonight that USC got the early lead. Like, you don't want to be fighting uphill against Notre Dame's defense. It was much more manageable for USC to have an early deficit against UCLA, but it could not afford that against Notre Dame. Getting that early 10-0 lead really mattered in my estimation.
I think you're right, Matt. I think you nailed that on the head. They're good, and it helped. It always somebody in the chat's gonna laugh. They're gonna be like, "Thanks, genius." It always helps to be ahead, but just the style of play.
Yeah.
And I think for us, it's also freeing. It lets Lincoln Riley, take some risks and have some fun and do what he needs to do when he doesn't have to worry about the pressure being on.
Hey, Will,
by the way,
want to
he's
mention
asking
one more thing, as long as you're still on with us, and that is that, in 2026, we're going to mark the 100th anniversary of the USC Notre Dame rivalry. So I'm starting the campaign. I hope you'll join me from the other side of the aisle. Double home jerseys, Irish green, Irish green, USC Cardinal in the Coliseum.
Matt, that's a good idea.
And USC end zone painted red, the Irish end zone painted green on the Coliseum turf. Jack Swarbrick and Mike Bowe need to make this thing happen.
I love that idea, Matt.
Matt, only if it's green, because our record against the green jerseys is quite good. So if they keep it green and not blue.
Well, 1977 helped. 1977 is an outlier.
Yeah, and then the rest we won.
Matt, that's an awesome idea. Because guys, how good did Oregon State and Oregon look today in the dual home jerseys?
Oh, I love that color matchup.
And you're right, USC in red and Notre Dame in green would be awesome.
And maybe you could even slide it onto early December so that you get like even more of like a pre-Christmas flavor.
That would be sweet. By the way, guys, right now Washington State has the ball down 33-35 and driving.
4th and 2.
4th and 2, a minute to go. Game on the line. We're about to find out what happens here. This is pretty wild. Wazoo, and this is for the Apple Cup. A minute to go right now.
Third quarter.
Oh, it's the third quarter. Oh, it's not
it's just third quarter.
Okay, never mind, guys. I'm totally lying to you. It's not at all.
And they just punted.
You're right. Sorry. I'm a little behind. I was like, why are they punting with a minute to go? Okay, it's third quarter. Never mind. Sorry, guys. That answers that. You guys can mock me in the chat. I deserve it. I like this. David says, I'll be snowboarding tomorrow with SC logo on my chest. You're on the Utah slopes.
Tony, it's been rare all year long. We've been like the late night game. So it's not, I can see totally how you got confused on that we actually got our game over just when the Apple Cup was starting.
Exactly. You're 100% right. UC Region Gumby, no, Notre Dame is not the ACC champion. The ACC champion is, where is it? Is
Marshall?
USC.
The Marshall?
No, it's USC.
Oh.
We are the ACC champions.
Don't show me Clemson. I'm so mad.
Although we might have to share it with Marshall. We might have to share it with Marshall. But we claim the ACC championship. Actually, and those of you guys who follow that really silly college football imperialism map that they do on Reddit, we finally got some territory again. So that's kind of nice.
Hey, just briefly about Clemson. I mean, Lincoln Riley's former quarterback, Spencer Rattler, removes Clemson from the playoff picture. So that's a delicious plot twist. And then we also have, and I briefly alluded to it earlier, like Garrett Riley. Garrett Riley might be, you could make the argument, Garrett Riley, Lincoln Riley's younger brother, is the main obstacle to the Trojans making the national championship game. Because if Garrett Riley and TCU win in the Big 12 championship game next week, that's probably going to lock USC into the 4 seed, where you have to go through Atlanta to play Georgia. But if Garrett Riley loses, then USC moves up to the other half of the bracket and a far more manageable potential matchup against Michigan. Now, obviously, win the Pac-12 title game first. Nothing else matters.
And Michigan beat Purdue.
But it's just an amazing set of storylines.
Now, forget the fact that I'm a USC fan. I'll take the fan hat off. I just want to be able to read Reddit, all the tinfoil hat guys, with if TCU loses, the conspiracy that the Riley brothers colluded to make sure it exists. They are.
Oh my God! The Big 12 fans will go crazy for that.
Oh, the Sooner fans for sure.
Yeah. Oh, completely. And guys, friend of the show, John Kurtz, who we love. There is no more devoted Big 12 fan insanity than John. Again, I love him because he's awesome. But he has a nightmare scenario next week because poor John Kurtz has to decide: is he going to root for for his beloved Kansas State Wildcats, who would cost his beloved Big 12 a playoff berth?
Listen. When it comes down to your team and your conference, who in their right mind ever roots for their conference?
I agree with you, but it might be tough for him.
There's some people, SEC people, that root for their conference.
No, they say that it's because their team blows. So I'm not going.
That's true. That's true. That is very true. Paul, I would vote Michigan. So we do. For those of you guys who don't know, the Voice of College Football channel. If you're part of the Patreon community, there's the Patreon community is in the lower right now. There's a little QR code, which is a lot of fun. It's folks who chat college football all the time. Absolutely, like the best $5 a month you can spend. It's $5. It's really cool. But we do a playoff bracket simulation in that. And Paul, I'm putting Michigan as my number one. I'm putting them over Georgia after how Georgia's been playing lately.
Michigan's I can't. As a Notre Dame fan, I can't do that.
You can't do. All right, you got to turn yours in this week. You forgot last week.
I would keep Georgia at 1, and the reason why is that the Big Ten just hasn't been very good this year outside of the top teams. This was a bad year for Iowa and Wisconsin and Minnesota and Michigan State in particular. Like Michigan State was a New Year's Six bowl team last year. If Michigan State's like, let's say 8-4 this year, then the Michigan argument becomes substantially enhanced. But, the Spartans dragged down Michigan's profile. That's what rivals do, right? Chuckle, chuckle. But like the Big Ten's weakness is why I would keep Georgia at 1, because Georgia's win over Tennessee was extremely impressive, shutting down that high-powered offense the way Georgia did. Georgia does have, and also Oregon, beating Oregon by 46. Oregon not, a win over Oregon doesn't look quite as good right now, but still by 46. And Oregon's not a bad team. Oregon could still be playing in the Pac-12 championship game. So there's still more meat on the bone for Georgia if you compare the Dogs to Michigan right now.
And do you one of the other things that I think would make a big difference, and tell me your thought on this, Matt, is for USC. I think the ability to play the game in Phoenix rather than to play the game in Atlanta would be everything for us.
Absolutely. Completely agree. Completely agree. I mean, and ask Lincoln Riley about his last time in a Peach Bowl playoff semifinal. That didn't go very well against LSU. Now, obviously, you had Joe Burrow, but LSU had just played the SEC championship.
That guy, yeah.
LSU had just played the SEC championship game in that very same stadium in Atlanta. So, that is a comfortable environment. Like LSU knew, like the lighting in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. You're familiar with the atmosphere, and of course, it's easier travel for the LSU fan base. So Lincoln Riley had to go through that gauntlet. Whereas when he played Georgia in the 2018 Rose Bowl, it was a much shorter trip for Oklahoma compared to the SEC team. And, Oklahoma played really well, but allowed that game to slip through its fingers late. But so the 2018 Rose Bowl, Oklahoma in the 2017 season college football playoff measured against 2019 and going to the Peach Bowl, Tony, that pretty much lays out the comparison, in terms of the difference between the Fiesta Bowl and the Peach Bowl. Which semifinal do you play in? Which location do you go to? I do think that is a substantial factor. The other thing, though, is that you're not only going to Atlanta if you go to the Peach Bowl, but playing Georgia in Atlanta. That is a home game for Georgia. And so Michigan in the Fiesta Bowl, hey, we can just imagine it as a Rose Bowl, just play a little bit to the east of the Arroyo Seco. And, when USC and Michigan play in a Rose Bowl or an equivalent thereof, we know that the Trojans usually win. So, yeah, I mean, it's a significant difference between Peach and Fiesta if we're talking about getting through the semifinal and moving to the national championship game.
What do you think about if TCU goes down, and so we would go to number 3 if we win? Matt, who would be your pick for the 4th spot?
Now people are going to hate this. All right,
Tim,
going to hate it.
Tim, I just sent you a thing on phone too.
People are going to absolutely hate this, and people might even think I'm an SEC homer. But I look at Alabama. I look at Alabama, and I compare Alabama to Ohio State. Ohio State got dump trucked at home by Michigan. And so Ohio State's only, really big poker chip win is Penn State, and Penn State's fine. Penn State's that 10-2 team whose 2 losses were in the 2 most important games of the year.
The Big Ten's Beavs.
Yep. So, Alabama has played a harder schedule in the SEC compared to what the Big Ten has done. You can make the case that, hey, the SEC West has been down this year, but I think that Alabama, its schedule, there's more there in terms of a 12-game body of work than what Ohio State has done. And you might say, hey, whoa. Ohio State with only 1 loss, Alabama with 2. And that is the argument you would make for Ohio State over Alabama. But Alabama has played consistently tougher teams over the course of the season. And this brings up, this often resurfaces as an argument at the end of the season when we compare resumes. If you are unbeaten, you have done everything asked of you. So if we are comparing a 0-loss team, an unbeaten team, to a 1-loss team, in my book, the unbeaten team gets in every time because it was perfect, because it did everything asked of it. But when you get into 1 loss versus 2 loss, no, because then both teams have left something up, something to be desired. Both teams have failed to win all their games. I have much less worry or concern about putting a 2-loss team in over a 1-loss team if the 2-loss team has the better resume. But if it's unbeaten versus 1 loss, the unbeaten team should always go. Provided that that team is not from the MAC or the Sun Belt, as long as it's from a mid-tier conference or higher. Going 13-0 needs to be given proper respect, but neither Ohio State nor Alabama have that, and so I would elevate Alabama in that particular conversation.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think Alabama would be 4, and should be 4. I mean, Look, if it was good enough for the LSU argument, that LSU, yeah, they have 2 losses, but look at their wins, right? The same logic has to be applied. I mean, I wasn't for it before, but that's been the logic of Twitter, of the Mark Rogers community, of the playoff committee. Why would it change now?
Exactly.
Right? And I agree with you that the Penn State win is really the only resume builder on that record, and it's not strong enough.
And real quick, we have we're not really doing calls right now. There's a couple folks in the chat. If you want, just tell us in the chat if you have a question for Matt, because we do have Matt on. Matt is from Trojans Wire. So if you're in the back room right now, if you have a question for Matt, just type it in the chat, and we'll ask Matt, or we can bring you on to ask him real quick.
It's a USC show. If someone wants to come and ask a USC question of Matt, then feel free to come on. But we're not here to talk about other teams and other crap.
Just tell us. Just put your chat in the private chat there. Put your question, and then we'll bring you on. You can ask it in a sec. Matt, looking at the rest of the Pac-12 and thinking about next year a little bit. What did you think of Arizona's performance in the Territorial Cup?
Well, I mean, so I'm here in Phoenix, and the Territorial Cup is usually.
That's right. I didn't even think about that. Yes,
it's usually bonkers. This game did not disappoint. It's some really dumb things happened at the end of that game, but for Arizona to get 5 wins out of this season, like that is just a terrific feat by Jed Fish and his staff. So he clearly has the program going in the right direction, and Jaden DeLora. I mean, he is such a live wire at quarterback. I mean, he'll be, when he's great, he's amazing. And when he's awful, he's horrid. And there's not a whole lot in between. But Arizona needs to go to the transfer portal on defense, because, all the things that people feared about USC's defense this season, but really didn't come to light on a full scale. That's what happened to Arizona's defense. Like that defense was getting lit up like a Christmas tree pretty much every week. And so if Arizona could have managed to hold opponents to 30 points a game, this was one of my main offseason themes with Mark Rogers, all our shows in the spring and the summer. If USC can just hold teams to 30, high 20s, Trojans would be fine. Arizona was giving up 45, 49 with regularity through the middle third of its season. So for Arizona, the goal, if we can just get to being a 28, 30-point defense, and we have our receivers coming back for another year, then that program has a much higher ceiling, but it has to address defense in the portal.
And Matt, speaking of defense, we got a question for you from a good friend of the show, who's a very active supporter of Mark's channel, Austin Williams. Austin, you're on with Matt Zemek from Trojans Wire.
Hi, Matt. How are you doing tonight, first of all?
It's an amazing night. I mean, 11-1. Hey, I had USC going 10-2, so I have to say, officially, I underestimated this team, even though my 10-2 prediction really was was really on the optimistic side relative to the national consensus of 9-3.
Matt, our show had 9-3.
We underestimate this team a little bit. I also said at the beginning of the year, you know what? The playoffs not realistic. Don't think about the playoff. Yes, think about the Pac-12 championship. Yes, think about a New Year's Six bowl, not the playoff. But here we are, 1 win away. So I have to say, officially, I did still underestimate Lincoln Riley and the Trojans.
And Austin, what was your question for Matt?
Oh, my one question was, Matt, how did you think the USC run defense did tonight, considering Notre Dame hyped up how they could run the ball on this USC defense? How'd you feel your run defense did tonight?
It's been really fascinating to see, Austin, over the course of the season. In the first 6 games, those first 6 games going through the Washington State game on October 8th, run defense was really good. I mean, well, not really good, but the run defense was the run defense was the problem, and the pass defense was really good. That's what I meant to say. The run fits were really atrocious, and USC's run defense was like Swiss cheese. It was like a sieve, and you were not seeing the pass defense give up big plays over the top. I mean, it was remarkable. Each week, I was waiting for the home run passes to come, and they didn't. And it was the run defense through the first 6 weeks, which was extremely problematic. But then in the Utah game, you really did see a change with USC's defense on a number of levels. That was the game in which Dalton Kincaid absolutely torched USC's secondary, 16 catches on 16 throws, 16 targets for like 230 yards. And so USC and Alex Grinch began that Utah game expecting the run. And Andy Ludwig, the Utah offensive coordinator, he's a run-first guy. Grinch was expecting the run, but Ludwig saw an opportunity with the passing game, and he stuck with it, and Alex Grinch never adjusted. And it's just fascinating to see how what happened against Utah really has carried through the whole second half of the season, and it was very evident tonight that USC taking away the run, which was a huge weakness in those first 6 games, while the pass defense was kind of the steadier part of this pass defense. The 4 interceptions against Oregon State saved USC's bacon in that game. But in the second half of the season, it's been flip-flopped. That USC goes in and is able to contain the run. USC held Zach Charbonnet under 100 yards. I didn't think that was going to happen, but it did. And DTR had to make his yards and score points through the air against USC. Jack Plummer of Cal lit up USC's secondary for a pile of passing yards. And then tonight, Drew Pine, another much maligned quarterback, looked really, really good against USC's secondary. The run defense was fine. The run defense was not the problem. And this goes into one of the things about this game is that as leaky as USC's pass defense was in the second half, and as much rhythm and confidence as Pine eventually developed in this game, time of possession, 35-23 for USC, 24-37 for Notre Dame. So USC had the ball for more than 10 minutes over what Notre Dame had. And if you were going into this game as a Notre Dame fan thinking, what's our path to victory? You would think that Notre Dame would need the 35 and a half minutes time of possession, not USC. So, USC was able to control the ball, and it goes to being able to shut down the Notre Dame ground game. Notre Dame was not able to get, 8-minute touchdown drives where it's getting into 3rd and 1 and converting the 3rd and 1 all the time. Notre Dame was completing passes down the field to Michael Mayer and a few other receivers who got open against the USC secondary. So it's really been fascinating to see just how the first 6 games was horrible run defense and decent pass defense. And now that's flip-flopped. It's decent run defense. I mean, maybe not spectacular, but solid. You're not hemorrhaging, you're not getting gashed. And it's the pass defense which just hasn't been able to adjust since that Utah game. And we wonder if that's ever going to be corrected. And then obviously it's going to be interesting to see whether it's Bo Nix or Cam Rising next Friday. And if it's Utah, you would think that Alex Grinch will have a better plan for Dalton Kincaid than he did on October 15th.
Well, and I think that. So here's the thing: they were getting torched a lot early in the season with that because they're playing that one gap defense, which is really difficult. You have to trust in the system. You have to hit that gap, and you need to maintain that gap integrity. And that wasn't happening early in the season. Well, this is the kind of thing that happens in game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. But as you get into the season, at the end of the season, and game 9, 10, 11, 12, you start to see those things shorten up a little bit. And as much as Grinch has been a much maligned coordinator by multiple fan bases, what he did was he made, and Will, correct me if I'm wrong, he made Notre Dame switch up. He chose how Notre Dame was going to play offense and took them out of what has been good for you guys, which is a heavy dose of running the ball. And there were some guys that made some plays. But if you would have told me, Matt, if I said to you, hey, tell you what, we're going to hold Notre Dame to under 100 yards rushing and Mayer under 100 yards rushing, would you have taken that bet?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
especially since Kincaid got over 230 yards receiving.
Right. Yeah. He only had 8 catches on 9 targets. That's Mayer. But who I was really impressed with was that Colsey kid. That big, how big is that dude? I mean, he didn't have that many catches, but he had clutch catches, and Styles just seemed like he was all over the place. I just kept Styles for Styles. They kept calling his name on the Coliseum. So I know he had a hell of a game, but this defense decided how Notre Dame, in my opinion, Will, correct me if I'm wrong, it changed how you guys have been playing and what's been successful for you. It was what allowed you to really hand it to Clemson, who's now a little more suspect in everybody's eyes. Mm-hmm. But that front seven's really never been in question how good that front seven is. And you guys were able to run the ball on them, but you guys were not able to impose your will with that great offensive line against USC. Mm-hmm. So again, talking to Boo, hey Boo, are you listening? How does our defense look now, right? How'd you like that fourth down stop early key part of the game when we needed to stop? And we imposed our will. We were able to get those run fits better, right? Hit those gaps, that gap integrity. I like the way our rush defense. Sorry, Will, what did you think?
That was the most disappointing part for me is I thought our O-line would – I know you guys have a good D-line. Sean Newitt's done a fantastic job with your D-line, as we saw today, but I thought we would definitely get more of a push than we did, and we didn't, and we lost. But I am definitely excited about the wide receivers because we had Dell, one of your own, Dell Alexander, who didn't do a great job recruiting or developing wide receivers, but we got Chancey Stuckey, who's been doing a good job, been recruiting great, having really nice – group of wide receivers coming in, and he's developed Deion Colsey, Lorenzo Styles, and Tobias Merriweather, who's hurt. Those guys well. So excited about the future of the wide receiver room in South Bend.
And I don't think that Pine is your future, but again, his development and how he played this game, nobody can overlook that. Nobody. I didn't see that coming. I didn't see us stopping the run. But I certainly didn't see Will Pine out there chucking around like he's Joe Theismann or that other guy played for 49ers. I'm like his name because he's no longer the GOAT, which he was all my whole childhood. But yeah, he looked really great out there. And you do have a lot of, it was a great game. At the end of the day, I thought we were going to blow the doors off you. We certainly didn't do that. So it was a great game. Tony, back to you.
Oh, sorry. I was on mute. That's why no one could hear me. Thank you, Austin, for calling in. We have Ian from Akron Ian, you're on with Matt Zemek from Trojans Wire.
Hey, Matt. Hey, Tim. Hey, Tony. Hey, Will. Big shout out to you guys. Congratulations on this season, no matter what happens. I watched the inception of this show. I've been watching you guys before you started the Pac-12 show.
Oh, thank you.
And you guys manifested all this because the way that you paid attention to everything. And Tim just dialed in all the time. And Tony setting it all up. You guys deserve everything that's happening.
And, thank you. We appreciate that. That's very kind of you.
Yeah, and Caleb Williams, man, he deserves the Heisman Trophy. There's a lot of seasons that people are competitive. You might have a couple guys that it's iffy. There's no if about it. Caleb deserves the Heisman. As much as I hate to say it, I don't even like you guys, but you deserve it. You deserve it because I watched the supposed leader of my team today not be a warrior. You need your quarterback to be a warrior and go out and fight. No matter what's going on. I don't know if it comes from the top down. Of course it comes from the coaching and the leadership. But you need to trust in your quarterback. And I think your team needs to want to play for the coaches and the quarterback. And I think Caleb Williams makes people want to play for him. I watched USC, I've watched Tennessee, and I've watched Ohio State play offense. And the timeliness of the play calling, the fight in it, and I don't think Ohio State should be in a playoff. I don't think they deserve it. I wouldn't even want to see him in it after that performance today. I think USC should be in the playoff. It is sexy. It does look good, but because they deserve it. And I'm actually very surprised in the way they've been playing on the line of scrimmage and the way they've been playing defense because I wasn't expecting it. I thought they'd have a good season, but you guys really Oh Lord, I've never wanted Notre Dame to win a game in my life. But it didn't matter today because Ohio State lost. I wanted Notre Dame to win today, but after Ohio State lost, it didn't really matter anymore. It didn't matter anymore because they're out. USC, guys, tell me, who's the playoffs? Georgia, USC, Michigan, TCU, if everything plays out?
Yeah. So probably Alabama, but yeah.
Why? How the hell is Alabama going to make
I'm just teasing. I'm being a smart ass. Actually, no, I think it's going to be TCU because TCU, again, Cinderella got a little baggie of extra pixie dust from somebody in the bathroom at the ball, and she's still at the after party. So go Cinderella, an 8-ball of pixie dust. That part is not in the normal fairy tale, but it's got Cinderella dancing through the after party.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. If anything, man, I think the one team this year that would it would be an atrocity if USC didn't make it in, like just to see them perform with that team. You know what I mean? And Caleb.
Although, Ian, I'll tell you, we as Trojan fans are a little scarred from the years of Clay Helton in that we are not looking past the Pac-12 championship game yet.
No, especially because if history's shown any Trojan fan, even the Pete Carroll Trojan fans, if you're going to lose to the Pac-12 or Pac-10 back then. You're not going to lose to anyone else. You're going to lose to one of these guys, and
you're going to lose to the Beavs is who you end up losing to, right? Connor, friend of the show, Connor Johnson, who we love, and guys, everybody in the chat, give Connor Johnson and the Beavs a round of applause because Beavs were awesome today, and Oregon State fans should be proud. But Connor points out where was his comment? Name a defense and atmosphere that held Caleb completely neutered for 58 minutes, and why is it Oregon State? And that, thankfully it was only 58 minutes. But that happens.
Hey, Connor, if you're watching us here still, did Trent Bray get nominated as a Broyles semifinalist?
That defense is crazy.
They're really good.
That defense is lights out.
Yeah, Connor Johnson and the Beavs, you guys were on fire today. And Reeser, Coliseum was going nuts, but Reeser was going bananas. I watched Benny Deaver literally crowd surfing on the field after the game.
And that's just half of Reeser. Imagine what happens when they get that fully renovated.
When they get the other half back open.
Didn't the Beavs score like 28 unanswered points?
Yep.
My gosh.
Well, it was the third and fourth quarter alone, I think, wasn't it?
They scored 28 points in 10 minutes, and they completed 0 passes during those 10 minutes. All running game.
I was watching the game.
Thing I've ever seen.
I'm flipping through a couple games, and my buddy's like, no, he wasn't. I was like, it's the Civil War. We got to watch it. So we're watching it for a while. And then at one point, it's like, all right, this is over. I think, was it like 34-10?
Yeah, I think something like that. 31-34.
31-10.
So the last touchdown that Oregon scored before that, I was like, it's over. Change it. And then it's like flipping through highlights, like put that back on now. And it's like, yeah, that's what it's all about. That's rivalry week, not losing 22 to Michigan. Damn it.
But how good did that game look with both? Because they copied from USC and put both teams in the home uniforms.
Hey, Tony, you just nailed it. I said that while I was watching. I said they got all orange and all green, like full with the whole uniform. It looked great. It was a great Civil War, man. And you know what? I think we kind of needed that for Connor because Connor's a good dude.
He is, isn't he?
And he confirmed that Trent Bray is a Broyles semifinalist. So that's good to know.
Well,
and keeping the theme of over, Tony, keeping the theme of over, Penix and the dogs are barking at the 3-yard line, about to bust this one open and make it a 15-point game.
Oh, so that means, how about them Utes?
And Penix just threw the ball away, so now it's third. So hold on.
And to quote one of my favorite movies, what's a Ute?
Is it going to be a rematch?
It's good. It looks, if Washington wins, so Washington looks like they're about to go up 48-33, presumably, if they score here, or 44-33. When Washington wins, it will be a USC Utah rematch in Vegas.
Well, let me ask you guys, since you have a dog in the fight, who would you want to see USC play in the championship, Pac-12 championship?
We unanimously said earlier that like we're feeling so arrogant right now. We don't care who we play.
I know, but I
I'm not
mean,
gonna lie to you.
I get it. But what matchup would you desire the most?
So I'll tell you, Ian, I'll tell you my personal opinion is I want Utah for two reasons. One, beating them cleanses our loss a little bit because we lost them by 1 point in a controversial game. If we can beat them in Vegas,
great game.
Then we sort of like heal that loss. I think a lot.
Well, this isn't my quote, but someone said Matt was one thing I read in your maybe I read on Matt's Trojan Wire. Who knows? But someone said that if they do rematch and win, that the Trojans beat everybody on their schedule. So yes, there's that little asterisk there, right? But technically, that's correct.
You mentioned it a week ago, Tim.
Yeah, but that wasn't from you. That it was like it's probably the Raina Troy people.
I wrote it taking from our post-game show last week.
Okay. Yeah, that was not mine. I loved hearing that. I loved it. It's great. It's true, right? I mean, it's a bit of a roundabout way of getting there, but you have beat
sworn I heard it
everybody on your
last
schedule.
week on the UCLA post-game.
Okay.
It's all the way true, but wouldn't you guys kind of want a piece of Oregon, or did they lose too many games?
No, I did. I wanted to beat them because
I wanted to beat them because their fans, and I love some of their fans, but they're
quackheads. Yeah,
they're the quack. It's nice to beat the quackheads.
Yeah, they've kind of been the favorite of the Pac-12 now for a little while,
and they like
getting
Well, no, really, Utah has actually.
Last year.
Utah has.
Yeah, last year, but I mean just
last decade or so.
Yeah, last decade. It's like, and Utah just Rick Covey. Actually, guys, I wanna come clean right now. I've been returning punts for Utah for the last couple of years. That was me.
All 9 years of eligibility.
All 9 years of eligibility.
Yeah,
He's such an awesome guy.
Yeah, I got COVID before it was even a thing, so I got like an extra 3 or 4 years of eligibility, and I was just returning punts, special teams out here. But yeah, I mean, Utah destroyed Oregon, so like they're not as respectable. But I feel like there's a part of you guys. If I was you guys, I would want Oregon too.
I'll tell you the other reason. So John, and this is from John Wilner. This is not from Tony. I'm stealing from John Wilner in this. He actually thought that it would be better for USC to not touch Oregon because then USC doesn't touch any of the stain of the Oregon-Georgia debacle. And I mean, and we've talked on the show ad nauseum about Oregon was a different team, and Oregon's done all this so much better, and 100% right, 100% right. But this was John Wilner was saying from his view, from the playoff standpoint, for USC to just not ever have to touch the Oregon stain would be the best optimal thing.
They'll have to possibly be their own stain if they get to play Georgia. And
yeah, well, that's very true.
So, I mean, what I thought and what I've said is that the best matchup for Georgia would be Ohio State. And I'm not talking about who's the best team, every matchup out there and every possibility. But, who's going to play Georgia the best? And I'm thinking Ohio State when they're, at their ceiling, at their potential. But at this point now, I'm thinking USC might be because what quarterback, what guy is going to play like a warrior against a Georgia defense? It's not CJ Stroud, brothers. I know that. I can tell you that. So, yeah, I would like to see a USC Georgia. I don't think USC is a better team than Georgia necessarily. Georgia's just different on defense, but if anybody's going to do that, let's see if USC could become their own stain.
By the way, how funny would it be? And this is a ridiculous statement, so just go with me here for a minute. Just for laughs, for the folks who are regulars and devoted viewers here at the Voice of College Football, how awesome would it be to watch the SEC fans in the chat if USC beat Georgia?
Now, here's the thing. Georgia has not only been building just under Kirby Smart. Georgia's been building that defense and that roster for the better part of a decade.
Oh, yeah,
Lincoln Riley's only had
11 months.
11 months, right?
You're right.
So I'd like to see us play Georgia in 2 years, but I don't want to see us play Georgia right now. And getting back really quickly, just because of the Oregon fans love to talk about how they run the pack. Ian, give me a guess. Out of the last 10 Pac-12 champions, how many times has Oregon won the Pac-12 in the past 10 times? What would your guess be?
I wouldn't guess well, but I think,
or is it 2? 3.
Out of the last 10. So, I mean, they had to win in 14. So
3, but
they
won
in the COVID year.
Throwaway 2020 pandemic season in which,
it's really 2.5.
Yeah,
they got to say 2, but yeah.
We always hear about how Oregon just run the Pac-12. There's some really good Nike marketing, but really Stanford and Washington. Matter of fact, Washington was really rolling until Peterson left.
Peterson just pieced out. Peterson's like, I'm good.
Yeah, dude, I'm gone, right?
But
and
winning
Utah,
who's got the winning percentage?
Winning percentage? We don't play the same teams though.
Well, no one does.
Right. Well, so I mean, winning percentage goes out the window. If we want to talk about who has been the class.
I was just saying who's the most competitive team. I wasn't saying they're winning the championships. I know Oregon. I just said Oregon was getting their ass whooped by Utah in consecutive weeks. I just say they seem to be the favorite, in terms of probably winning. Who's won in the last 10 years? Who has won more games in the Pac-12 than Oregon?
Yeah, no, Oregon's probably won more games than anyone else. I'm almost certain.
Probably consistently.
But my point is
thanks to UCLA's
winning lots of games is one thing, but winning the big games and the games when they count, that's a whole nother thing.
I got you, Tim. I'm just saying,
because anyway, we're way off. Sorry, I've taken us
we're way off.
Tangent.
And we got to bring on. We got Larry's called back to talk. I think Utah is getting locked in there. Anything?
Right.
Any final thoughts?
I just want to say thank you guys for everything you did this season, and I feel like you brought the same type of energy that your team was bringing, and you manifested it and contributing to Mark's channel and everything. Love you guys. I think you've made it that much better. I love this community. Love you guys. Have a great night.
Ian, thank you so much. That's incredibly touching. We really appreciate it. Truly, thank you.
Ian, I want to mea culpa. I apologize to you. Like, we almost didn't bring you on because you're so anti-USC in the chat. I'm like, dude, why does this guy want to come on a USC chat? But I got you. I texted about to Tony.
No,
I was completely wrong.
No, Tim.
Ian's awesome. Because Ian, Ian and I we trade jokes back and forth to each other in the chat all the time.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, Ian's awesome.
Part of what I'm doing is, Tim, I target you because you make yourself a target, because you know what you're talking about. You're dialed in, but it's football, man. So I'm going to talk trash. I played football. I played football in South Florida as a white kid.
Where at? I'm in South Florida right now.
So yeah, I was in 954 and 561. I went to the same high school as Lamar Jackson, as Vince Wilfork. We played big time football down there. So I'm going to talk trash, Tim. It's just talking trash.
And Ian, hang on. You more than anyone can share with my experience of being a Pac-12 fan on the Voice of College Football college shows. So now we know exactly how it is. You can feel my pain as well. So we're on the same page.
No, I love you guys, man. Sometimes I just talking trash is lighting people up. You know what I mean? Lighten up and keep the love going, because football is football and it's the greatest sport on this planet. And college football is the best representation, the best version ever. And don't let them ruin it. Keep it going, brothers.
And Ian, for your Buckeyes, my grandpa was a devout Buckeye who grew up his whole life as a devout Buckeye. And he and Woody Hayes are scheming to get your game back for you next year right now.
I'm not. Don't even talk to me about the Buckeyes right now, man.
All right, sorry. Tomorrow. We'll talk tomorrow.
All right, brothers. Have a great night.
All right. Good luck, Ian. Thank you for calling, Ian. It was really touching. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I love being wrong, especially about
I know.
people.
See, I told you it was,
I'm totally wrong, and I walk it all back like an idiot. So yes, not the first time.
All right. Hey, we got Larry back. Larry, are you going to Vegas?
No, I'm with you, still out here on the East Coast.
Hey, it's a good place to be.
Yeah, but the wifey's only one state away right now, so maybe she can go.
And hey, right here we've got it looks like pretty solidly Utah going to Vegas.
Yep, looks like we'll be seeing you guys in Vegas.
I like it. And I'll tell you, I have loved the Utah fans on Twitter this week have just so I did a thing. I don't know if some of you guys may have seen it. You guys saw it on the Pac show if you watched. I made some little like flow charts as to what would happen, and John Canzano picked them up and used them, and I just had all these Utah fans reaching out to me, and they are so excited about this game, and I think it's exciting. It's going to be awesome for the Pac. It's going to be USC and Utah, and I have all the respect in the world for Coach Whittingham and that fan base and all that, and I think it's going to be a fun game.
Yeah, it's going to give us some good talking points come Wednesday, right?
Oh, and be ready because there's a special event on Wednesday. It's called LBC Unplugged.
Oh boy.
No, it's going to be great. It's going to be the coolest thing we've done.
All right.
You ready?
We better check the trademark on that, but we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Is he bringing his arrogant bastard with him?
Yes, I'm coming. Yes, I'm coming, Larry.
No, I was talking about the alcohol.
No, look at Will nodding.
I'm probably going to be in Will's shoes next week, but I'm okay. I get another game. I get another Utah game.
You get another Utah game in Vegas against this. I mean, it's gonna, and I'll tell you, it'll be a good game. So
yeah, should be fun.
And so in year one of the non-division setup, we get a non-cross division matchup. So good thing that Klyavkov adjusted.
Oh, hey, Matt, did you know we also lost Ellis week before last? I think it was
a lot of guys, so I haven't kept track of all of them.
Yeah, so Luther Ellis was the one that was kind of he was the speed edge guy that they kind of put him in, and he was the one that was giving Caleb more of the fits because he's like a 4'5" defensive end. He's like a 6'3", 230 pounder. So he's got a little more speed, and he's been out. So if we don't see him, I don't know. And then Clark Phillips didn't play today, but I think that was just getting ready for the NFL.
USC was resting guys against Colorado before UCLA. So
yeah, that's what they were doing. And then Tavion Thomas left the program this week.
He had family trouble, right? What that was undisclosed.
He said his toe was injured and he wasn't going to be able to play in the conference championship game, and so he was going to peace out.
Yeah, he has a broken toe.
That's a weird thing to leave the team, though. You know,
he was on the hot seat anyway, so I think it was one of those. Yeah. In my opinion, I think it was we don't want to deal with you, you don't want to deal with us situation.
An opportune injury.
Yeah, there you go. All right, well, I've got an early tea time, and I had to watch this game.
Hey, Larry, seriously, congratulations to your Utes on pulling it out, and to all the Utah fans in the chat and all the Utah fans who watch our show. Congratulations to you guys on a great season, and we can't wait to see you guys in Vegas.
And Larry, it happened. Yeah. Remember, we've been talking about it all year. It happened.
I know, but I wanted us to win out, Tim, because if we would have won out, see, there's no lock that we're going to go to the Rose Bowl if we lose. Where before, if we would have won out, I think we would have been a lock.
It might well be Washington now.
Yeah, because they're But yeah, exactly. So
well,
the game's going to be played on Friday.
10-2.
Well, USC has to win for another Pac-12 team to go to the Rose Bowl.
Exactly. And that's when we talked, Matt, like after they beat them, I said, you know what? I wouldn't mind if we both won out. And if Utah lost the championship game, it wouldn't matter. They would probably make the Rose Bowl either way. So, which would have happened if we would have beat Oregon. We probably
like USC cannot play in the Rose Bowl. Like that outcome is just not possible for the Trojans.
And Washington just scored another
It's
touchdown.
cotton or playoff at this point for USC.
Yep.
But the first big bowl game that Pete went to was the Orange Bowl, so the Rose Bowl will be there down the line.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But like a Fiesta Bowl against Michigan would basically be just like Rose Bowl East. We'll just have to like turn the Camelback Mountain into the San Gabriels for a day.
Hey, and Matt, if you have any sources inside, tell them don't be trying to go after our defensive coordinator. You already got our running. You already got. I think Kyle might have to retire because I think there's a lot of guys coming after our defensive coordinator. So I don't know. We'll see. There's some rumblings.
I think Riley's going to ride with Grinch for 2023, no matter what.
Huh.
There was just another another touchdown Huskies, guys. Utah, you're going to the Pac-12 championship game.
All right. I will see you guys Wednesday.
And on behalf of all my dog friends, bow down to Washington. Bum, bum, bum. Mighty are the men who wear the purple and the gold. I won't sing the rest of it for you, but congrats. Huskies, dogs, congratulations. Kalen DeBoer. You guys, was there a better under-the-radar hire last year than Kalen DeBoer? Who nobody noticed because he got hired the day after Lincoln Riley?
Well, I mean, Sonny Dykes was not exactly a high-profile hire, but DeBoer's certainly right up there. But we talked earlier about Tennessee learning its lesson after hiring a bunch of coaches who couldn't teach passing. You finally bring in Josh Heupel. Same thing with Washington. Like Washington took the wrong lesson from the Jimmy Lake experience. Jen Cohen, the AD at Washington, she obviously needed to ask Jimmy Lake, okay, what's your philosophy of offense? I have a hard time thinking she did, because if she had asked him and he said, oh, I want John Donovan as my offensive coordinator, then, Jen Cohen should have, just said, hey, you either accept the defensive coordinator job or you're free to look for other opportunities on the market. She obviously botched the elevation of Jimmy Lake to head coach. Well, she learned, all right? And, she got Jimmy Lake out of there relatively quickly and put in a guy who could teach offense, who could bring an elite quarterback in. And DeBoer and Penix worked together at Indiana, much as Kenny Dillingham and Bo Nix had worked together at Auburn. They brought that to Eugene. So Washington course corrected quickly before Jimmy Lake did any more damage. So that's really.
And I love Jen Cohen. I think she is just awesome. So I love her success there too. Because the thing is she is just she is a husky as a husky can get.
She is.
And I was worried about her prospects actually going into this year, and she has rocked it out.
So is Bo Nix is it a done deal? Bo Nix is going to ASU as well?
Yeah, Bo Nix. It could be. Who knows? Because we'll see what the NFL said. I think they were saying that Bo Nix went out on senior day and did all the last day senior stuff, because he's married and he's been in school for almost as long as GTR.
Well, now if you do senior day at one school and you go to another school as a grad transfer, is it really senior day? You be the.
I don't know.
Hey, question before we do start wrapping this up at all.
Yeah.
So I just thought about you just talking about Jimmy Lake debacle, talking about DeBoer, talking about Washington. Right? When I think about Washington, I mean Don James is a great head coach, but I think of Washington quarterbacks. So my question to you guys is this, and Penix coming, right? What's been a bigger boost to the Pac-12 this year? The influx of capable to great coaches, or the amazing quarterback play we've seen this year from a number of great quarterbacks?
Both.
No, but you can't. No, you got to pick one or the other. You can't do that's too easy. So if you had to pick one, what do you think is more impactful?
I say the coaches, because you have to know how to use that Cadillac quarterback when you get your hands on one. And I think Caleb Williams might test that theory. Like you could say that Caleb Williams is so improvisationally amazing. He's such an instinctive genius that with any coach, he'd be great. But like the way Lincoln Riley has taught him and having a second year with Lincoln Riley, like that has given him such a first-rate football education. So I do think that, if it was a coach much less accomplished and knowledgeable about offense than Lincoln Riley, you wouldn't see the same season that Caleb Williams has delivered. I mean, you probably still a very good season without question, but not at this level.
And I think we've done well with Miller Moss, Matt, but would we have had this kind of a season with Miller Moss? Probably not.
Even close. Would
DeBoer be talked about? Would we talk about DeBoer right now if Penix wasn't up there?
Exactly.
Probably not. If so, we can go down the line. DTR at UCLA. But yeah,
of course, with DTR and Chip Kelly, like that was a 5-year marriage, and it took them all this time just to get kind of, sort of close.
Well, I don't know the behind the scenes thing, but I imagine it would have been Haener at Washington if Penix wasn't on the way.
Good point. That's a good point.
Yeah. Real quick, I think actually Connor just checkmated your question, Tim, by pointing out from Oregon State, we don't have one, so I'm arguing for coaching.
Well, again, that's one, but that's what I'll tell you. Because if you guys did have JT Daniels or anyone,
if they had JT Daniels, they'd be on their way to the Pac-12 championship right now.
You guys would be in the same conversation we're talking about right now. Yeah.
And Eddie Chase, thank you for the super chat. We really appreciate that. Is Cristobal the coach to turn it around at Miami?
Isn't doesn't that prove the point about coaching being more of the key? Because scouts were raving about Tyler Van Dyke after the end of the 2021 season. So you think that, Cristobal's not going to mess this up. Well, actually, he did.
Well,
and also he did that with Josh Gaddis, who got Harbaugh to the playoff last year at Michigan, but he comes to
Broyles Award winner, wasn't he?
In Miami. So that really does tell you that the guy at the top of the organizational chart, the guy at the top of the pyramid, you need that leadership and expertise at the top to make that talented quarterback fully perform. So Cristobal actually, I think, really reinforces the point that you need the coach to guide the quarterback. It's not just have the great quarterback. Now, I mean, could say that Gene Chizik just had Cam Newton fall into his lap at Auburn, but you had Gus Malzahn as offensive coordinator, and Gus Malzahn knows what to do with an elite talent at quarterback. Gus Malzahn, in terms of like home growing quarterbacks, he never did that at Auburn. But taking transfers, talented transfers, Malzahn maxed out their potential. Cam Newton 2010, Nick Marshall 2013 when they came within an eyelash of winning the national title that year. Jarrett Stidham in 2017. So you have to have a guy, a coach who knows what to do with great raw talent at quarterback. It is coaching first and then the quarterback second. Not that the QB is irrelevant. Of course not. You have to have that elite talent, but you need the coach to unlock the talent and make everything possible.
It's probably the chicken or the egg, though. I'm still telling you, because we go down that list. But the Canes didn't have to wait till this year. They could have talked to the quacks crying about it, or even watch anyone who watched Herbert play for Oregon. I've never seen an amazing quarterback look so in college as what Cristobal did to Herbert.
And let's remember that in the NFL preseason, Anthony Brown was playing great for the Ravens. Like he was wowing everybody in preseason with Baltimore. So like that was a second example of Cristobal, preventing a quarterback from really developing under his watch in Eugene. All right, want to hit this because I saw it in the chat. So I recently wrote that Dante Williams, should be fired and Lincoln Riley should hire a special teams coach. I got a lot of pushback from Trojan fans in my Twitter mentions, and I get it. And you know what? It's interesting to look at this question in light of tonight with the 2 pooch punts. No traditional punts. Lincoln Riley has Caleb Williams punting twice. So to me, what does that say? It says that he was terrified of putting out his punt protection team against Brian Mason and Notre Dame's elite special forces punt block operation. So like that to me is an admission of defeat by Lincoln Riley, saying I don't trust my main punt protection unit. And if that's the case, like, are you going to just have remember older folks in the crowd will remember this. Dating myself, of course, but older folks in the crowd will get this. Danny White was basically the quarterback
I
and
remember that.
punter for the
At
Dallas
Cowboys.
Cowboys for a
Yep.
long time.
Yep.
But that's
In
the
Arizona too,
exception.
right?
You don't generally have your quarterback punt all the time. I don't think that's really sustainable. I don't think that's really desirable. And so I think you need to
Matt.
shore it up, and you need to bite the bullet and get a special teams coordinator if you're USC.
Matt, after he wins the Heisman, he's going to win the Ray Guy, because I'm not sure if you're paying attention to the stats, but he had a 60-yard punt and he pinned one at the 10-yard line. He might be our best punter, Matt.
And he even was a receiver tonight too. And it was a good play. Like he got called for OPI, but he broke up an interception. Like he made a good play on that play.
And guys, we have breaking news. Washington has officially defeated Washington State. Washington has won the Apple Cup. If you look at our rivalry picture here, Dubs has joined the victorious mascots with the Apple Cup trophy. And USC will face Utah Friday night in Las Vegas.
Absolutely amazing. And, I lived in Seattle for 20 years. I mean, I grew up in Phoenix, but I lived in Seattle for 20 years. So, this was very much unlike the 1996 NBA Western Conference Finals when the Sonics beat the Jazz in 7. Tonight, all of Salt Lake City was pulling really hard for Seattle, and Seattle came through.
How about those dogs? Arf!
And I do think that, since Washington beat Oregon State and Connor Johnson, I don't know if he's still following us, but the fact that Washington beat Oregon State head-to-head, if you had to, go up against Lincoln Riley for Pac-12 Coach of the Year, I think it's Riley 1, DeBoer 2, and Jonathan Smith 3 in that order. I think that Washington, Oregon State head-to-head is a bit of a tiebreaker there, but I think Lincoln Riley has to be the Pac-12 Coach of the Year because 11-1, and hey, if he wins on Friday, like that's the no doubt end of discussion moment. If Utah beats USC, you could leave the door open and say, Kalen DeBoer winning 10 games, maybe because that was really off the radar. But this is Lincoln Riley's award to lose right now. But I think DeBoer has it over Jonathan Smith if we get to that point because of the head-to-head.
Matt, what do you think about the rule that you can only have a certain amount of assistant coaches? Are you for
I know
that
Tony
rule?
mentioned it on the post-game show last week that we should blow it up. Like, why should we be limiting ourselves to the available personnel? Because hey, coaches have analysts, they have other assistants that are not on the field. Like, what is the special moral, ethical reason for why those analysts can't be on the field or in the press box as well? Like, I fail to understand that. Like, is there something magical which happens when you have only 10 on-field assistants as opposed to 13? That just makes no sense. So, maybe in terms of the legislative process, like that rule will be done away with. I don't know what the politics are in terms of what channels to go through, but so like if I'm Lincoln Riley and I have a way to kind of nudge some people on this, I'm saying, hey, I'd rather keep Dante Williams because of what he can do for recruiting. I don't want to have just 10 assistants. So maybe some progress can be made on that front. Then Lincoln Riley doesn't have to make that choice, because if he doesn't have to, then by all means he should keep Dante Williams for recruiting. But if we are limited to 10 assistants next year, I think you swap out Dante for a special teams coordinator, because like Will knows this, Notre Dame has won games. It has scored so many added points. It has gained so much hidden yardage by having an elite kick butt special teams coordinator with Brian Mason. Like, USC should have that. Like, if you are committed to excellence and you're playing with the big boys at the very top tier of the sport, you need that. Like, that's not something optional. It's not a luxury item, something to be viewed as, well, it's great if we have it, but like, we don't need it. No, you should be aiming for the best in everything. And Lincoln Riley was really trying to wing it here on special teams. And it hasn't generally worked out. So I think swapping out Dante for a special teams coordinator, and USC fans, the people who push back against me, I get it. Like, Dante Williams is a really good recruiter, and that matters. But, you have a whole staff of 10, right? And so, like, if you get someone who maybe isn't quite as much of a crusher on the recruiting trail, but he's, teaches special teams as well as anyone in the country, that to me is a worthwhile trade-off because of all the hidden yards and hidden points you're going to gain over 12, 13, 14 games in a season. And Will definitely knows that from the Notre Dame experience this year. And he's nodding his head, and he should.
Matt, can I push back a
little
little
bit? A lot
bit?
of added value for Notre Dame.
Matt, I'm gonna push back a little bit and play devil's advocate because one, I agree with you, but let me tell you what some I've heard from USC fans as well. Now, this is the Helton era, so we gotta all you gotta look at everything the way it is. But how much were we paying? Oh my God, I think I've been scarred so much I've forgotten the guy from Fresno State who came over, the special teams guru,
Baxter,
right? And then they give all so much time to practicing special teams, and then we brought in Snyder, who was supposed to be a guru and dedicated, spent a bunch of time on special teams, and it didn't really translate over into now. I know you're going to say maybe that's because they're bad coaching, but I mean, I'm with you. I'm on that side, but that's why a lot of SC fans are like, one, they love Williams.
It's a really good point.
We've been burned a lot in the last years thinking about special teams coaches, and they were supposedly good in their field and good for their position.
Yeah, that's right. That's an excellent point, Tim. Appreciate that.
But I'm with you, but don't take Williams from me.
Well, hey, if we can get that rule thrown out so that you aren't limited to 10 on-field assistants, that would be the best outcome for USC. So, like, if they can flex their muscles administratively and legislatively behind the scenes to get that rule and limitation done away with, that's really what they should be pursuing. So,
yeah, but special teams, we've got by hook or by crook, we've gotten through this year because our special teams. I'm surprised it has not cost us a game. All the close games.
UCLA, just there was so much crap and we got away with it.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we are over 3 hours and 15 minutes.
It's what happens when you beat Notre Dame and you're 1 win away from the playoff.
It is 2:30 in the morning here. As we get ready to wrap up, Matt, first of all, guys, everybody in the chat, can we give a shout out to Matt Zemek from Trojans Wire? One of the smartest guys about everything from USC. If you guys are not following his stuff at Trojans Wire, you should. Again, we love having him. And Matt hosts a phenomenal show every Monday night with Mark at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. If you're not watching that, it is the best place to learn about USC. And there's going to be, I'm sure, lots of just really, really fascinating stuff this week there. So USC Trojans Live with Matt, Monday at 11, 8 Eastern, if you haven't seen it. And then we're going to have the Pac-12 live show on Wednesday night with the very, very special extra bonus segment, LBC Unplugged. So be ready for LBC Unplugged. Also, if you're an Aaron Sorkin fan, it is going to be your favorite episode that you've ever seen of the Pac-12 Live, the Pac-12 Chat Show.
And
so
you guys
LBC,
out there, listen, just really quickly, I especially if you're Trojan fans, this is a Trojans. This is for Trojans. All you Trojans out there, or even if you're rivals, Will, you should be reading it because the very first thing I do every night after a USC game, the first thing I do is read Matt's articles. Then I rewatch the game. Literally, I swear to you, I read his articles before. I'm dying to watch the game, but every single week I read. Matt cranks out some good stuff daily, but right after the game, he always has some great takes. Every morning, Matt, I go talk to my dad about. We talk about your articles and I just think you do a great job. You guys are nuts. If you're a Trojan fan and you're not checking him out, I don't even know what to say to you. You're crazy.
It's 12:27 a.m. in Phoenix. I know I'm going to be up until like 3 a.m. and I know I'm going to get like just 3 hours sleep. And like, we have like 20 stories to put out on Sunday, given the volume of news surrounding USC football. So really make Trojans Wire your home for Heisman coverage, Notre Dame coverage, Pac-12 title game coverage, team coverage, Pac-12 coverage in general, the covering the Oregon meltdown against Oregon State. But like, oh God, we just have.
You know
I
what?
have a lot of work to do.
Hey,
but
Matt,
you wanna
there's one
follow
team.
us
There's one team I
for
don't think you
coverage
need to
of
cover.
everything.
One team does not need to be even addressed. This one.
Well, on Monday, we're going to walk you through all the playoff scenarios. Like tomorrow is for processing the Notre Dame game and the Pac-12 championship game, but Monday we're going to walk through the playoff scenarios, and of course that's going to be a topic on the Mark Rogers Show Monday night. So Trojans Wire, Voice of College Football, mountains of content. I already have 4 stories up on the game. That's why it took me a little bit extra time to join the show here. Got 4 initial stories up, one of them in tandem with Fighting Irish Wire. You could read, how Notre Dame was processing this game. So I know Will's going to go over to Fighting Irish Wire. But got 4 stories up in the bank, posted live. And then, we're going to have like 15 stories for sure. Fresh stories posted on Sunday. It's just going to be a madhouse at Trojans Wire.
My just real quick, a comment in the chat. Vlad is saying, the Big Ten West has ruined the Big Ten. To anybody who remembers the background of World War I, and my dad was an American history teacher, so his idea of a lullaby was either the Michigan State fight song or Over There. So to everyone in the Big Ten who's worried about the Big Ten West, help is on the way. Send the word over there. That the Trojans are coming. The Trojans are coming. So yeah, we'll
Purdue, USC, just a slight upgrade in the Big Ten championship game coming your way.
Exactly. I mean, imagine a Big Ten championship right now next week, USC versus Michigan. Like, how awesome would that be?
Well, we'll be seeing that in a couple of weeks, I think. So
we may see that in a few weeks.
Just hold that thought.
Matt, thank you for joining us. As always, your insight is phenomenal. We appreciate it. The folks in the chat appreciate it. And we are very lucky and blessed to have you on a glorious celebratory night for the Trojans.
It's my privilege and pleasure and honor to be here on the Voice of College Football. And Tony, you and Tim and Rick, just another awesome job. And, of course, great guests such as Will, Larry, the gang. Just so much fun. And, hey, we won ourselves a 13th game, so get to do one more of these shows before the bowl game. Looking forward to that show on Friday night in Vegas.
We're just getting started, Matt.
You bet.
All right, we'll see you, Matt. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Will ND. Will, a rough night for the Irish, but we want to again shout out everything you do on Mark's channel, everything you do on your own channel. If you guys aren't following Will ND, he's got the new Young Guns channel show they're doing. Absolutely one of the smartest guys around, a good friend of ours who we are even more blessed to have as a friend than as a YouTube guru here. Will, congrats to your Irish on a great game and a great season. Marcus Freeman, I think, has really cemented himself as the guy for this job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you turned it around. You turned it around and saved that recruiting class. There was some doubt there, but the team came together, and I think you guys are gonna be fine going forward with the guys you're bringing in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the future looks bright. This loss sucks, but hopefully the coaching staff can learn from this and hopefully do a great bowl game. I really want to play Texas in the bowl game, so if we can get Texas, that would be a lot of fun. Me and D4 would jab back and forth, so hopefully we get to play Texas in the bowl.
That'd be fun. Well, Will, you look like you're about to die. Thank you so much for sticking with us till 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
Will, we can do a watch party.
Hey,
Will, if you want to rewatch the game with me, we can go to the Discord and we can do a rewatch party if you want. You let me know, okay? I'll be doing until by 3 o'clock in the morning, so you let me know.
Oh, Timmy.
Go get some sleep.
All right, see you guys.
Thank you, Will. Thank you for joining us too. Tim.
Wow. All I'm going to say is wow. Trojans, it's been a long time. And Rick and Tony have been trying to hold me back for a while now. And about 3 weeks ago, I don't know what got into me, but I started going, actually 2 weeks ago, I wanted this playoff thing to happen. And now it looks like it's actually going to happen. And, I'm speechless what a team can do in 11 years when you actually get the right coaching staff in place. So what I said to Matt, and a lot of you guys probably remember from Pete Carroll, and whenever they say to Pete Carroll, what's next, he's just he say, I'm just getting started, or we're just getting started. And that was his mantra, every year, we're just getting started. Let's see if we can keep winning this thing forever. And what we saw today on the field, the way they won, it wasn't the fact that we won, but we literally made, everyone's getting on Grinch, but we made Notre Dame play a different offense. And that was the difference in this game. We imposed our will on defense. When was the last time we said that? Held them under 100 yards rushing, kept Mayer under 100 yards receiving. So I think we need to see what Grinch can do when he brings in some players. Last 2 games, we were told that they're going to run the ball down our throats. And both times Charbonnet was under 100, and we kept Notre Dame under 100 tonight. So the future's bright. We got a quick turnaround for Friday. We get my rematch. I called it. I said we'd lose in Salt Lake City, but we're going to beat the rematch. I'm hoping I'm right, and that will punch our ticket for a playoff, which, again, you guys a year ago, do you think we were talking about going to the playoffs this year? Absolutely amazing. So for all of you guys who are up this late, fight on, and I'll see everybody next week.
Thanks, Tim. Guys, this is amazing. They call this the Glamour Game. There's a book actually about it called The Glamour Game. If you check it out, the Battle for the Shillelagh. But if you guys will indulge me just a minute, I'm going to tell you guys a personal story. I probably shouldn't tell you, but I, growing up, always wanted to go to Notre Dame and was just over the moon when I got in. But I fell in love with USC. And I'd also, Michigan was the other school I was looking at in another little place, but it really was Notre Dame and USC. And I was debating between the two. And my dad had played football for Michigan State, national champions with Duffy Doherty, and was a graduate assistant coach at Michigan State in the famous 10-10 tie with Notre Dame. So my dad had no love for Notre Dame. And as I was trying to decide between Notre Dame and USC, we went down to Notre Dame for one last visit before I had to decide, like 2 days where you had to send in your deposit or whatever. And I had this feeling I wanted to go to USC. And as I was at Notre Dame, I knew what I needed to do. And so we walked out, and my dad looked at me and he said, "Well, what do you think?" I looked at him and I said, "I think we need to kick their ass this fall." And he looked at me with a big grin and he said, "Good, let's go home." And I sent my deposit into USC, and it was the best thing ever. And I'm so proud to this day. Love the Trojans, love our Sigma Chi boys, love the Trojan Knights, all the amazing people that I would never have had a chance to get to know if I'd gone to Notre Dame. So I was so thrilled that I decided to go to Notre Dame, and it made all the difference. And so the USC Notre Dame game, it is the glamour game. It is everything that college football is all about, but it always has that special extra thing for me. And I always go into this game with trepidation because it's everything on the line for both schools, and it means so much to everybody. And so just my personal joy tonight, I'm just floating on this chair right now and glowing with excitement. But I also recognize the importance of this game, that for both schools, there is a very special relationship with these two schools. I always compare it to the U.S. and the Soviet Union, actually, in that we just like we needed the Soviets to maintain everything in their sphere of the world, we kind of need Notre Dame to maintain everything in their sphere of the world. And so we need Notre Dame to be strong, and we need Notre Dame to be good, and we need Notre Dame to be honorable and respected, and they are all of those things. And just as I'm thrilled for USC tonight, just like in 2002, tonight cemented the return of Troy. And tonight also, I think, cemented the continuing strength of Notre Dame after their rough season. So there's a line in the Aeneid. The Aeneid is the story of how Aeneas, who is a prince of Troy, came to Rome and was then responsible for founding Rome. And it's the story that links the Roman Empire and all the glory of imperial Rome back to Troy and imperial Troy. And there's a line that's actually carved on the side of Tommy Trojan. And we'll just end with this because I think it's very significant, and it exemplifies what Lincoln Riley has brought to us. And I don't know all the Latin. It ends in Fosserenia Troye. But it says, here are provided seats of meditative joy, where shall arise again the destined reign of Troy. Guys, we are once again seeing the destined reign of Troy. Thank you, Lincoln Riley. Thank you, Mike Bone. Thank you, President Folt. And thank you to one of the coolest ladies I've ever met in my life, USC Trustee Chair Suzanne Nora Johnson. You guys have brought us, once again, the destined reign of Troy. Fos Reigna Troye, and fight on, everybody. We'll see you on Wednesday night.